a ride sharing video. I repeat, this is not a ride sharing video. Good afternoon, or better yet, good evening, folks. Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Just wanted to do a evening broadcast. Once again, just something out of the ordinary, which is why I'm here, and that is the fact that President Trump just concluded a town hall, if I can get my monitor right, concluded a town hall on CNN. So I'm here to find out from the folks, did any of you tune in and see the town hall analysis on CNN with President Trump? We're going to be discussing some of the greatest hits, but nevertheless, Trump did remain defiant throughout that interview. I believe it was about an hour and a half. Just a hell of a lot of Trump's greatest hits. Keep in mind, he certainly, absolutely has a chance to be our next commander-in-chief in 2024. Hell of a lot of my viewers are certainly rooting for him, so we're going to talk about that. But I want to give you some of his greatest hits. This is kind of impromptu, but taking notes on the town hall, and I would invite you folks out there. It'll probably be available on YouTube, or certainly will be analyzed all over the damn place. So definitely try to catch the town hall if you can. It's about 90 minutes. First thing was quite a bit of conversation in regards to still suggesting that the election was stolen from him. That came up over and over again, up to and including President Trump stating that the only way he would even certify the 2024 election is if he felt it was held properly. So he is also stating that even in 2024, if he feels like something does not go right, once again, he is not going to concede yet again. And it really didn't change a lot from there. The point I'm making is that many of the things he stated in the past, he was saying here. Now, some of the more tougher issues is that he was asked if he was to become commander-in-chief again, would he sign or be in favor of supporting a national abortion ban, not returning it to the states, but a national abortion ban. His response was he would have to leave it to the people and see what they want. So just wanted to put that out there, that when asked was the aim a national abortion ban, he did not say no. He didn't say anything about returning it to the states. He said he would put it before the people and see what they want. Now, keep in mind, if Trump becomes president, the people want Trump back in office. They want him back as commander-in-chief. With a possible control of both the Senate and Congress, well, the people are going to want a national abortion ban. So the fact that he did not state, well, I'm trying to hand it back to the states, should tell you everything you need to know. Now, also, he was asked, would he pardon those who participated in the Capitol breach on January 6th. I'm not going to call it a riot or insurrection, but we can all agree that the Capitol building was breached on January 6th. He stated he would certainly look into that. He brought up what Antifa did in Portland, brought up Black Lives Matter and things like that, and stated that there should not be two different forms of justice. In other words, the Antifa folks got off, Black Lives Matter has gotten off, and he believes that the January 6th breachers, the ones who breached the Capitol building on January 6th, were not treated properly, or they were dealt an unfair blow from an unbalanced justice system. So he certainly said he would consider pardoning those who participated on January 6th. Even was asked about the Proud Boys, the ones who have been recently given a hell of a lot of time for what happened on January 6th. He did not deny that he might possibly consider pardoning them as well. In addition to that, he was asked about the being found liable yesterday for E. Jean Carroll with the sexual abuse, found not guilty of rape, but found liable for sexual abuse and defamation, called her a whack job. He continued on that he's never met her and, things like that. But he actually referred to her as, quote unquote, a whack job. Said the entire thing was made up and it never happened. Now, the obvious implications of that is that this could lead to a second defamation suit. He has no business calling a woman a whack job. He cannot back that up by any means at all. That is indeed an additional piece of defamation. If forced to prove why she is a whack job, he's not going to be able to come up with anything at all. So he definitely got on national TV and defamed her a second time. If you look at the fact that she received, I believe, $2 million for the first defamation suit, why wouldn't she use some of that money and sue him again? You would, I would, and Trump would himself. So that is certainly a second go at defamation. I'm going to continue down the list, but I want to make it clear. We're going to go to the box. As always, you know what this program is. It is always MAGA friendly. Always has been, always will be MAGA friendly in its entirety. Liberals are always welcome. I want to talk to you folks. As always, I won't block, ban, or censor you for your commentary. You don't have to agree with yours truly. That doesn't mean a damn thing here. You always get to state your point. Let's go to the box. Let's talk about what happened. Hopefully you guys got a chance to see it. Starting off with Skylar Terry. Good evening, and this impromptu live. Skylar Terry, good evening.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Did you catch the town hall?
I just jumped in. I just wanted to see your viewpoint, if that's okay, if you would explain to me your viewpoint.
Sure. Well, my viewpoint on the town hall is if you know Trump, if you knew Trump from 2016, you really like Trump or really dislike Trump, your mind is not going to change at all. It is pretty much the same guy. Up to and including folks may have suggested that, well, because of what happened in 2020, folks being pissed off about the tweets of him being bold and brash, maybe he should back down a little bit. None of that happened. It's pretty much the same guy. So whatever you loved or hated about Trump, all of that still exists. That is my
Okay.
viewpoint.
Okay. So for me personally, I don't have to like somebody's character exactly, but I can like their policies,
True.
if that makes sense.
That's absolutely.
So his policies never really affected me as a person, because, like, the reason I want to say that is, like, some of the policies he made for the richer people, it didn't affect me. Personally, it never affected me. I'm on food stamps and all that stuff, right? And that's cool, but it didn't take away my food stamps. It didn't take away. I had disability at that time. It didn't take any of that away. So for me, when people are saying, "Oh, I don't like Trump because he's not for the poor people," it's not that he's not for the poor people. He didn't pass bills for you guys. That's the different. Like, so some of the bills that I agree with is, like, when he I believe it's section 42 or something. When he did. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay. Keep going.
When he made a bill for basically immigrants, and I think that's okay. Like, I think it's okay to have a legal system for immigrants coming in and out. I do believe that's okay. I don't think that
Well,
anybody should
let
just.
me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Since you brought up immigrants, I'm looking at some of my notes. One of the things he was asked about was the policy of separating families that he was constantly criticized for during his time, and asked would he continue that policy. And he stated that when you do that, it deters them from coming. He said, yeah, it sounds harsh, but it deters them from coming. So he pretty much alluded to he would continue separating families that come here illegally.
You know
Do you
that
agree with that?
I can't personally. Okay, I can agree or disagree on that. That is, you're asking me a question. I wouldn't say it's exactly fair. I'm gonna say that right now. But at the same time, is it fair that 1,500 immigrants are coming into our country every day without being checked in? Is that fair to them? Is that fair to the American people?
No,
No.
you raise a good point. No, it is not fair to the American people. But if you are an infant or an elementary school child, and we decide, well, because your mom is treating us unfair, we're going to
Uh,
separate you from your mom, which could hurt your own childhood development. Is that a good response to that?
I'm gonna say no on that. I'm gonna say no, and that's my personal belief. I'm gonna say no on that. But at the same time, when these immigrants come across the wall, across the border, right? They know this before they do this. So is it fair that the parents are putting their children into this situation? Is it?
No, it's not. I agree with you 100%. It's not necessarily always the best in the best interest of the child to drag a kid through the desert or commit a crime with your kid. I agree with that. But following up a parent that is doing their child wrong by then separating the child from the family and hurting the child's development, you're literally just adding insult to injury at that point, aren't you?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. I agree with you. So here's another viewpoint point if I can put it
Sure,
out there.
sure.
So when these people cross the wall, like I said, I stated they know the law, right? They want to get their kids, like let's say pregnant woman. They try to get the pregnant woman to cross the wall and have the baby in America, right? But yet the mother is not legal. The mother is
Right.
not legal in America, but that baby is born in America, and so now it's an American citizen. Is that fair to do to the? Is that fair? Is that fair to do to American people? Is that fair for the child?
That is
Because
a.
at one,
I can't speak on. Let me say this. I can't speak on whether that's fair or not, but that's been the law of the land since day one. We've always stated that once you have a child on American soil, that is a product of America. That's always been the way. Even the
oh,
founding
of course,
fathers did that.
there's legal steps they can take to stay with their child. There's legal steps they can take. They can go get a green card, and then they can bring their kid into America and also get them a green card to stay in America as well.
Fair enough. Well, let me say this. And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get your boy up to 10,000 likes. You know I ask that on every program. The program is and always will be MAGA friendly, helps out the algorithms and things like that. I think, Skylar, I think the issue is when you say they could go get a green card. I think where you and I have a difference of opinion is I believe you are very much downplaying how difficult it is to get a green card. It's not like saying, well, you can just go around the corner and buy some. It is very difficult to complete the task that you're making sound like it's pretty easy.
I hear you out. It can take months to years at times to get them, and I get you on that. I get you on that, and you know I know a lot of people are trying to get away from the chaos that's happening in Mexico right now, and I get that, and I understand that, but you have to now understand now people are trying to get away from the chaos in America, and now they're crossing the border to Canada now, and that's been a problem. I live up in Washington, so that's happening now,
Mm-hmm. Well,
and so
Canada has publicly stated, particularly during the Trump administration, that they were immigrant friendly. They even made it clear as long as you can get through the United States and get to Canada, we will take you in because during Trump's administration, he was talking about doing them so harshly back then. I think he wanted to pretty much make it so that you get 5 years in prison if you're caught entering America, or something like that. Some of Trump's policies on defending the border did not pass even when he was president. He was proposing some pretty harsh shit. It just
no,
didn't all go.
I agree with you on that, but you have to also understand Canada has a lower population of people in general than we do by a lot, by a
Yeah,
lot. So they can intake all these immigrants. On the other hand, America, if we start getting 3 million immigrants a year or more, right? That's an impact on us. We're gonna start seeing inflation. We're gonna start seeing lack of jobs, and that's being very honest. We will see lack of jobs. We will see you know if they take the legal steps of presenting an ID and whatnot to get these jobs, right?
hmm
But in the long run, if these people are coming from Mexico, they're not really doing themselves a favor because if they come in illegally, they can't get a job legally. They can't do all these things legally. And I want to say this because I have family members who are immigrants.
Okay.
I have family that are immigrants. They can't work a normal job. They
But you
can't.
know, wait, but here's the problem. When you say that if they come here, they got to work illegally and things like that, so they're not doing themselves a favor, you don't know what they're running from. If I'm running from the cartel that's trying to kill me, I don't care if I got to be homeless on America's streets. It still is doing myself a favor because they were going to kill me or put me in the drug fields or something like that. You
I
don't know what
I
they're
I I
running
I
from.
hear you. I hear you on that. I really do hear you on that. I do. Well, what I wanted to say is like there's this I feel like America has also failed these people in a certain in a way as well. Um, because we could process them faster. There is a way to process these people faster.
Yeah, yeah.
There is.
Um,
Well, keep in
um,
mind, I gotta move it on, but I'll give you the last word. But keep in mind, when Trump was president, he actually said we can't accept any more at all. He used the phrase "America is full." So he wasn't talking about reducing the amount of immigrants. He was talking about stopping it entirely. Like I said, the man was talking about proposing some pretty harsh shit. He was
oh,
hard on those folks.
of course, but you also have to understand we are capping out at our population. We are capping out in America, and the reason I want to say we are capping out is due to inflation rates. Also, not just inflation rates, but jobs, including right now we have over 6 million people unemployed right now.
Which would lead to an obvious question. I got one question before I let you go. If we're capping out on population, inflation's off the chain, 6 million people out of work, can you explain to me why the hell anybody would propose an abortion ban?
Um, I would say, oh, you mean like
If you
veto it,
can't take any
like
more,
veto it?
the point I'm making, if you can't take any more citizens, why would you propose an abortion ban, which is going to blow up the population by about a quarter, 3/4 of a million people every year? Why would you do that?
Because people put their Christian values into politics, which shouldn't be in politics.
All right, fair enough. I got to move it on, Skylar. Come on back anytime.
You have a good day.
You too, absolute. All right, looking in
section. You seem smarter than to vote for Trump. It was a good conversation with Skylar. By the way, folks, the box is open. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. We can easily make this happen. 600 plus of you in here. You know what I always say the program is forever will remain MAGA friendly. Don't let the name of the program steer you wrong. This program will always respect conversation from both sides of the aisle. MAGA will remain my preferred guest, but liberals are welcome as well. As always, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. Nevertheless, you're always free to state your point, state your opinion on here all day long. All right, looking in the comment section. Clayton Bigsby, get it on every broadcast. Surprising use Clayton is usually Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus, or a sellout. We get it on all the programs. No hard, what it says, no hard enemy to immigrants than other immigrants. I don't quite get what you're saying there. That are already here. No hard enemy to immigrants than other immigrants that are already here. Are you trying to suggest that there's no one harder on immigrants than the ones that are already here? I don't get the grammar, but feel free to elaborate on that. Trump absolutely dominated, said Red Politics 1776. It was pretty much vintage Trump. I don't know if I would say he dominated. That particular guy, the one you're saying that dominated, he's the one that lost the election in 2020. You want to bring back the same dude? I mean, I really enjoyed Top Gun, but I don't want to see Kelly McGillis again. That's kind of old now. Perhaps we need to update it. All right, let me go to the box. We'll go straight to Eve. No, but actually, yeah, Eve. Good afternoon, good evening, rather.
afternoon. So it's kind of an impromptu live, but Eve, good evening.
Hey, missed
Hey,
you.
appreciate. Oh wow, thank you. Well, I do the day lives. I don't do the evenings as much, but when we have something unusual like this town hall, I got to get over here and talk to the folks. Did you catch it at all?
Yeah, sure I did. I also
What
spoke to you
What
a
did you think?
couple of months ago, so you're familiar to me.
So, what did you think of Trump's performance tonight?
So what do I think about what now?
What did you think of Trump's performance? You said you caught the town hall.
Yeah, funny thing. I remember Trump before he got arrested and before the Mar-a-Lago thing, and
Okay.
he was pretty on point. He is on point. And I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken, but after he came from this whole situation, he kind of started sounding different. He is
How
not the
so?
same Trump I remember.
What do you see in the modern Trump that's different than the one you now you supported Trump? Did you support him in 2020?
Well, I never liked the guy because I was thinking that he was kind of sexist, every kind of woman did. But I think I kind of chose the less of two evils. I definitely would never, ever, ever support Hillary, right? I also didn't support Biden. So for
So,
me,
so
Trump
you
was,
did. I just want to make sure I get clarity. Which there's nothing wrong with it. So you did vote for Trump in 16 and 20.
well, actually, it didn't because you have to remember I'm not a citizen of the USA. But
Oh,
without being said, I was, you know, very interested in what's going on in the USA because, you're the biggest country out there. You're controlling everything. So I have to be informed. I have to be informed. No
now
doubt
what
about
nation?
it.
What nation are you from? Are you in right now?
Well, currently I'm living in Israel. I was born in Russia.
Okay, wow. Okay. So how do you feel about now? Trump was asked in regards to the Ukrainian Russian conflict, he was asked flat out tonight, do you want Ukraine to win that war? He would not answer that question. He also was asked, do you believe Vladimir Putin, the leader of your homeland, do you believe
Hmm.
Vladimir Putin is a war criminal? He would not
Okay.
answer that question either. So how do you feel about that?
There is a very, very obvious reason for that because Trump back in the day knew exactly what's going on. You have to remember one thing: Biden has a very, very big interest, he and his son, in whatever is going on in Ukraine. If it had anything to do with Trump, if Trump was in power, the whole thing in Ukraine wouldn't happen. Not because of the fact that Trump has any sway over Putin's relationship with Ukraine. The only thing that would have happened, this whole mess would have been averted for the simple reason Trump has no interest in the Ukraine.
But wait a minute.
Biden does.
Here's where you're confusing me. If Trump was president, Russia would not have went into the Ukraine, is what you're saying. But I'm trying to find out why would Russia have acted differently under a Trump presidency than what they did now?
Because Trump has different interests as far as in Ukraine. He has literally no interest in that. The Biden administration, on the other hand, has total control over Ukraine. You have to remember one thing. There are certain labs that Hunter Biden is controlling. We have BlackRock, who is invested totally in Ukraine, not to mention George Soros.
So
Ukraine
wait a minute.
has
So
been,
you're saying that Russia went into the Ukraine because Biden has interest in the Ukraine?
among other things, Biden was one of those presidents that had any respect for NATO. And you have to remember during the Bush administration, I'm talking about the father, not the son, Russia and him had a very serious talk about the whole thing, and they agreed that NATO would not step what 800
Yeah.
meters next to Russia. Ever since, there have been a lot of years, and they continuously came closer and closer and closer. For Russia, the biggest mistake that NATO has done is to come into the Ukraine and try to join them to NATO. It was a very big no-no, very big
Well,
no-no.
wait a minute, but you're saying NATO came to Ukraine and tried to get them to join. NATO,
Yeah.
the Ukraine has been requesting NATO to let them in for years, and NATO has been denying the Ukraine access to NATO. I don't get where you're saying NATO approached the Ukraine. I'm not hearing that. I don't know where you got that from.
Wait a minute. I need to understand you perfectly honestly. I need to understand you. Are you saying that the Ukraine asked to join NATO?
That's usually how it works. NATO doesn't ask a nation to
Well, they
join.
have no right to do so. They have no
Okay,
right to
that's
do so.
fine. That's fine. They don't. You're correct. They do not have a right to do it. But I'm saying that the NATO, the North Atlantic, that group of states do not go and ask countries to join. The countries ask us, can they join? That's what happened with Finland and Sweden recently. They asked to join. We don't ask them to join.
Sure, sure, you're absolutely right. And the only reason why Sweden took in their own sweet time to join was because of Turkey. Because if you remember, Sweden during the last couple of months had made their own business to literally burn the Quran. And that's why Turkey was against that, which you have to remember, Turkey is a part of NATO. So there is a big debacle about this whole thing. At the end of the day, both Sweden and Finland joined NATO, which is pretty fine. We couldn't care less about it. The one thing that Russia does care about is that any any country that has a border with Russia, which is Ukraine, would never ever join NATO. I
That makes
think it's
sense. That one, I don't agree with much. We don't agree on much else here, but I do agree that Russia has a vested interest in not wanting a NATO member state on its border. But Finland is part of NATO now, so even if you take the Ukraine out of Russia now has a NATO member state on its border. So it has already spread beyond the Ukraine. The minute Russia started attacking the Ukraine, a lot of nations got completely frightened. So what Russia has done has essentially expanded NATO by going into Ukraine. So that did not work in his favor.
okay. There is no doubt about what you're saying. I completely agree with you. But Putin actually asked for the last couple of years, more than a couple of years, he asked for 8 years and a half. Do not try, do not try to put any NATO
Yeah.
state around us, which is pretty obvious. The same way it goes for the United States. I do not believe that you would ever consider or accept any country that would a military
Yeah.
base around you. I think it's
Yeah.
pretty
I
obvious.
don't, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with you there at all. And I've said before in my life, I got to move it on. But I've said also that if Canada or Mexico or Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis, if any of those countries tried to ally with the Soviet Union, you're right, we would not tolerate that. So it's kind of one of those things where we say, "Do as I say, not as I do." So I don't disagree with your last point at all. But Eve, I do got to move it on. Appreciate you
I
coming in
just
here.
I just want to say one more thing before I
Sure.
go.
I'll give
Thank
you
you for
that.
your
Go ahead.
time, by the way. You have to remember one thing. During 2003, let's go back very, very, very long time ago. Victoria Nuland, if you remember who she is, she's still relevant, by the way. She donated $5 million to create a coup inside of the Ukraine in order to, overthrow the government. The
Yeah.
United States has a very, very, very big interest in, changing the government for her own benefit.
Yeah, I
Since
don't
then, the
disagree with that.
Ukrainian,
I
what?
don't disagree that the United States has a vested interest in making the Ukrainians a pro Western country. I don't disagree. We do that all over the world, particularly
Yeah,
for
you do.
countries that are. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we are innocent in this game at all. I'm not saying that. I agree with the last part of your dialogue, but I do got to move it on.
Sure. Thank
Appreciate you coming in, Eve. Thank you for coming in. All right, looking in the comments, that was a shit show. Grady, be kind to my guests. Be kind to the host. As always, tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. This impromptu evening live. I will continue moving on, but Jesus Christ alive, says Don Rubio. Listen, in regards to my last caller, even though me and her had a difference of opinion on the vast majority of the things she was saying, at the end of the day, her last part is correct. Vladimir Putin having an issue with the Ukrainians trying to become a Western ally, an ally to the West, that's legitimate. Because I would tell you if Canada, as I mentioned with her on, if Canada or Mexico or really any country in or around the Americas, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Cuba, any country that decided to ally with the Soviet Union, we during its heyday, obviously the Soviet Union has been disbanded, but during the time of the Soviet Union, we would have done the same thing. We would have literally done the same thing. If any of those nations, Caribbean nations, any of the nations hovering around the Americas, decided to become part of the Soviet Union, they would have been at risk of going to war with the United States. So, as much as we can talk about Vladimir Putin, it literally is a case of do as we say, not as we do, because we would have done the same thing. All right, looking in the comments, Patriots unite, go Rambo. I don't know what that means, but same people in power. Yeah, we need Trump ASAP. So you think he'll come back? By the way, folks, what we're doing before I go back to the box is we are, as you see on the board, we are analyzing Trump's town hall event on CNN. Just give you my quick viewpoint. It is vintage Trump. If you really like Trump, if Trump is your guy for 2024 going forward, he didn't disappoint. All of Trump's greatest hits came out of the guy on this town hall. If you despise Trump, you hate the name calling, you don't like the rhetoric, you don't like bringing up the 2020 election, you felt that January 6th was a blow to democracy, then you're going to continue disliking the guy because you got all of his greatest hits. He brought up the election. He was in favor of what happened on January 6th. He didn't have any sympathy for what Mike Pence went through on January 6th, stated he wouldn't even apologize. So it was vintage Trump. Real quick, looking at some of the notes I took on that, he obviously spoke horribly of E. Jean Carroll, the one that won the defamation and sexual abuse case against him yesterday, called her a whack job. I mentioned before that does lead him down the path of a second defamation case. He has no way to prove that woman is a whack job. She just beat him in court. What makes him a whack job? I also stated that the case that he lost in New York was indeed it was rigged. He said it was rigged, said the judge was a liberal judge. Once again, defamation could come out again because we don't know what the hell the judge is. Appreciate that kite. I don't know who sent me that kite, but thank you for that. Much love to you for that. All right, let me go back to the box. I want to talk to you folks. Hopefully you did get a chance to see it. Bye, Don. Good afternoon, or good evening to Bye, Don 52.
Did you get a chance to catch the town hall there by Don?
Yes, I did. Good
What you
evening.
think?
You know, at this point, I don't understand how anyone could walk away from that town hall thinking anything but Donald Trump is the biggest little bitch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, what makes you
I
think
really
what
don't.
what makes
If
you think
ever
of
there
him
was
like
a
that?
bitch on the face of the earth, it is Donald John Trump.
Okay, well, let me make something clear. Obviously, I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary, so feel free to state your mind. But just understand, TikTok is they are the upper echelon. So we get your point. But what makes you feel that way about Trump?
Everything he said tonight, every time he opened his mouth.
What about defending the border?
Well, I mean, the border's always going to be a problem. It always has been. It's always going to be. We're a nation of immigrants. We were built by immigrants and slaves.
Well, but even if the border, by the way, Heather, appreciate that, Swan. Thank you. In regards to the border, you're right. It's always going to be a problem, but shouldn't we at least attempt to do something? I mean, Trump is stating that he wants to do something. What you're basically saying, all due respect, but you're basically saying you're coming at it from a defeatist standpoint. Well, it's always going to be a problem. Well, he is actually talking about putting in place provisions to do something. Now, they may not work, but he is
Okay,
talking
but
about doing something.
what? I mean, what I don't. He's trying to go too far, and a wall isn't going to work. And if they think that they're going to stop the drugs, they're absolutely
Yeah,
nuts.
yeah. I don't think even during Trump's administration, where he boasted about how good he was doing at the border, there was no issue with Americans who wanted to get high. So when you talk about not stopping the drugs, yeah, you're spot on. One of the things he was criticized from, and this host, if you've seen it like you stated, you got to give kudos to the host. This wasn't a Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham
Oh
type
no,
interview. Yeah,
I have a whole new respect for that woman after
yeah,
tonight.
yes. Well, how do you feel about Trump calling her a nasty woman?
I mean, we all know he's a pig.
I mean, he looked her in her face and said, "You are a nasty woman." And did you see him pointing toward the end, pointing like, "Look at this bitch"? You know, he was pointing at her. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think she should sue him for defamation too.
Well, you don't want to. I mean, in that career, I mean, if you're going to
No,
interview,
but
yeah,
I mean,
if you're
if you think you can talk to people any way you want, I think you deserve to lose all your damn money. You have to you have to you have to if you want respect back, you have to show respect, and that's the most disrespectful man I've ever watched in my life.
well, I don't disagree that he's known to disrespect people, but if you're going to do a town hall with President Trump on CNN, you need to have skin that's like an alligator. I mean, the fact that he
And
called her nasty,
clearly she does.
yeah, yeah. So what about him calling E. Jean Carroll a whack job?
I wouldn't be surprised if there's another defamation suit in
Yeah,
the next 72 hours.
yeah.
And
I gotta admit,
he'll lose again.
yeah, yeah, because this one here, I gotta admit, if you're his attorneys, you have to be shaking your head because you just lost a defamation suit yesterday. The woman was able to show in court, at least convince a jury, whether it's right or wrong. She convinced the jury that you sexually abused her, and you're on TV calling her a whack job, and it's like to a national, if not global, audience. Yeah, he is
I
kind
mean,
of begging for a secondary defamation suit. I
right.
just don't get that. I don't get it.
If I had represented him in that case and he said that on live TV the next day, I would refuse to represent him.
Now, Mandy in the comments is saying, and he had a gag order. Did he have a gag order from that?
I think he's got a gag order from New York.
That's what he's. Oh, that's what
Not
he's
from
talking
not
about.
from no from the felony charges.
Oh,
Not from
okay.
the lawsuit.
Yeah, you're talking about Bragg and that other case.
Yeah, I think there's a gag order from that.
How about this one? He actually stated that the officer that shot Ashley Babbitt on January 6th was a thug.
Well, he doesn't know what a thug is, so
Yeah. Now, well, I'm
he
assuming you're gonna because the word thug has historically been associated with African Americans, and the cop that just happened to shoot her was African American. You already know where this conversation is going to be headed in the news. I mean, he called the cop a thug.
but Trump's not racist though.
Well, perhaps, and that's what is going to be the rebuttal. But yeah,
I mean,
he
because
really picked.
it's not. Do you think? Do you think he would have called him a thug if he was white? Because I don't.
I don't know, but I mean, regardless if he would have or not, it definitely points in that direction that you use the word thug, in conjunction with an African American cop. People, it's like calling somebody black a monkey. Maybe they actually look like a damn monkey, but because of the historical context, people are going to throw out the R word just because of the context. And yeah, calling a African American Capitol Police officer a thug is certainly going to bring that back. So for my beloved MAGA folks out there,
Yeah.
be prepared to once again.
So now when it's your job to protect the elected officials of the country and you do your job, you're a thug. That's what country's come to.
Yeah. And I want to say this real quick in the comments. Someone asked, why is it associated with African Americans? I was trying to find the comment for that, but let's face it, folks, there are certain words, certain terms that invoke a certain type of person. If I say terrorist, you don't generally think of somebody from Asia. There's a certain type of person you think of when I say terrorist. Right now, if I say illegal immigrant, a certain type of person comes to mind. Unfortunately, if I say racist, a certain person comes to mind. If I say thug, a certain person comes to mind. That is why it is associated, because those words have been typically used on one particular group of people. So yeah, that's why it goes that way.
Someone just said in the comments Trump lied over 600 times tonight.
Damn. Well, the election
somehow I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, the election fraud. He brought up Wisconsin, and he brought up Georgia and things like that and was saying, I mean, yeah, he was bringing up so many election claims that have been disputed. So I'm assuming out of that 600, it's got to be several dozen of them that pertain to the election.
Oh, for sure. Well, listen,
Yeah.
man, I wanted to comment on the town hall a little bit, but my Lakers are on, and I've missed most of the first quarter waiting to come on. So I'm
Real
gonna I'm,
quick
I'm
before,
gonna watch the game.
real quick before I let you go, I walked out on the Miami game. Who won that game?
I don't know.
Damn,
I
because I
was
got
still
money
watching.
on
I was
Miami.
still watching CNN when it ended.
Okay, fair enough. All right, appreciate it. Go Lakers. Catch you later. Damn, I see somebody
Yep.
said the
Bye.
Knicks. Catch you later. All right.
I guess I did lose money. I see somebody said the Knicks won. All right, looking in the comments, lots of turnovers. Yeah, I was watching it. They were losing. They lost a 10-point lead and never came back from it. Democrats hate you, and they hate the USA, says Liberty. I often hear that, folks talk about individuals hating their country. It is almost always in conjunction with a liberal when someone suggests that an American hates their country. And for yours truly, it's baffling because let's take Trump, for instance. The military is dilapidated. Our country is a laughing stock. Nobody wants to do business with America. We're going to hell in a handbasket. How can he say all of that stuff about the country and no one assumes he hates America? But then the liberals simply say something like, well, I think the police are mistreating African Americans. Well, you hate your country. I don't understand what scale we're using to determine whether a person hates the country or not. Do they have to be liberal to qualify? All right, going back to the box. Somebody said I put 10,000 on the Lakers tonight. Really? Good luck. Keeping it moving. Michael Davis. Appreciate you folks holding on.
The program on. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 35,000, like 700 plus of you in here. You can be anywhere you want to be on this damn app. The fact you're rolling with your boy is always an honor. What do I say on every program? I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. The fact that you might disagree with the host never means a damn thing on the program. Michael Davis, did you see the town hall?
Man, I unfortunately did not. I've been on the road all day, headed out of Country, North Dakota.
No. Loaded and rolling, huh?
Yeah, like I said, I like about 4 hours being home. But anyway, now my question is, man, I respect you. I watch you every day. I'm a
Oh, damn.
Republican. I support Donald Trump, but I'm going to say this. Why do you guys not hold Joe Biden to the same irons that y'all hold Trump to? You had people come out saying Joe Biden, hold on, I'm going to just say this. You had people coming out saying Joe Biden sexually assaulted them. He suppressed their college records to where they couldn't investigate her. That's still under investigation right now. You can fact check that. I understand this E. Jean Carroll. I mean, goddamn, he must have been drunk to even try. I'm sorry to say that, man, and I hate to be rude, but good Lord. I mean, woo. I
Well,
don't know, man.
we did a program last night. I will tell you this: E. Jean Carroll was actually an attractive woman back in the day. I'll show you real quick because on the program we talked about that. That is E. Jean Carroll there on your screen. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that woman. There's nothing
No,
wrong
she
with
was
her.
pretty back in the day, but man, I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you what, time has not been good to her.
All right, I got you. I
I mean, I'm
got you.
not being rude, but good Lord, when she was walking into court, she looked like a walking skeleton. I was like,
Oh,
fuck, man.
she's 70. I mean, she's 79. What do you want, Elizabeth Taylor or Barbara Eden? I mean, she is 79.
I get that, man, but another thing, what really irritates me about that is they let her have a special statute of limitations clause to where she could go back 30 plus years and sue Trump. I don't understand that part. It's not my business. It's just something that, I mean, if they're going to make a president or precedent on that part, then I mean, hell, Joe Biden's in a lot of trouble. I'm going to say that because
I
this
mean,
woman's coming
well,
after Joe Biden full force.
I will tell you this, and from Joe Biden's standpoint, if I'm Joe Biden's attorney, I think you guys have already given him out. I mean, if Joe Biden is found guilty or accused of anything, since you already got half of the American people, particularly being Republicans and MAGA, saying you got dementia and you don't know where the hell you're at, just go on the stands and we'll say that you got a mental illness and you don't know where the hell you're at. We'll just use all of you.
I honestly feel like at this point, even though I support Trump, I honestly feel like him and Joe Biden both should just drop out, let somebody younger come in, because hell, Donald Trump got E. Jean Carroll mixed up with his ex-wife. You know, when you're looking at a damn picture and you're getting somebody mixed up with somebody who, from years ago, you know, something's definitely wrong there.
Well,
you know,
but wait
Joe
a minute.
Biden,
Trump stated that E. Jean Carroll was not his type, and then when he looks at a picture, he thinks that's his ex-wife. Do you think
Yes.
that? Do you think that that alludes to him possibly lying when he said she wasn't his type?
yeah, I do, like I said, on that part. But I want to know, somebody said in the comments that there were over 600 lies tonight told on CNN. Who fact checks those?
The people watching the program. I bet you there is an itemization of those lies. I've seen the Young Turks, a lot of the liberal outfits are watching the program, and I mean, because he hammered on the election being stolen. There was a lot of time on that program spent to that because
Handsome
Trump
liberal.
kept pushing that.
Handsome
Sure.
liberal, you're a smart guy. I got a question for you. Barack Obama
Sure.
was a very good president. Did I support everything he did? Absolutely not. I supported 99% of the stuff he did, but there's always something we're not going to like about a candidate. Everybody.
True.
Do you guys honestly believe, and this is the legit question, that Joe Biden, one of the most racially motivated senators in the world, who said in 1977 he didn't want his children growing up in a radical jungle. He's the one who come out with he's the one who come out with the crime bill, you know, to lock young African American males up. You know, I understand people changing their stance over the years, but do you honestly believe that he got 81 million votes? I'm asking a legit question.
And the legitimate answer is no, Biden didn't get 81 million votes. Fact is, Trump, the anti-Trump vote is actually what counts. Biden received a hell of a lot of votes that were not for him. They were votes against Trump. I would submit to you that I would probably say 30 to 40%, maybe even more of the votes that have Biden checked off on them were really anti-Trump votes. People who would have voted for a dog as opposed to Trump. They weren't supporting Biden. Even now, look at the polls for Biden. 30%, you know, low 30s and things like that. Nevertheless, if Biden runs against Trump, even with his poll numbers being that low, he's going to be extremely competitive because there's a huge anti-Trump vote out there. You think Liz Cheney wants Biden to be president?
Liz Cheney's a Democrat all day long. She can claim she's a Republican 100%, but she's a Democrat. Come on, handsome liberal, you know that.
Then I have to ask you, if Liz Cheney is a Democrat, why up to January 5th were no one on the Republican side saying that?
Honestly, because she was never making herself vocal. You know,
she
up until
voted
that point.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
I got to ask
she
a
voted
second
Republican.
question. I'll ask you a second question. If she is a Democrat, why did she vote with Trump over 90% of the time on his policies?
I honestly feel like that, you know, the Republican Party's going to side with Republicans. They're going to vote in the way of the Republican Party, just like all Democrats. Anytime Biden approves something, every Democrat votes with the Democrat side. It's a given. I honestly feel like she felt like she had to, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's like an entitlement thing, you know.
Yeah, I think you think George W. Bush, when he votes, you think he's a Democrat too?
George W. Bush? No, I think George W. Bush patted his pockets with the Iraq War and Afghanistan and all that, like I said.
Do you think George W. Bush is going to vote for Trump in 2024?
I think with the shape the country's in right now, with the inflation so high, with gas prices crippling America, I mean, I just literally filled my tanks up earlier for $1,251. That's one tank of diesel. You know, that's unreal.
Well, keep in mind we're talking about George W. Bush. The inflation is not hurting George W. Bush at all. Do you think he's going to vote for Trump?
I think he will this round. He didn't. I know he didn't in 2020 or 2020. I know he voted for whoever else, but I think honestly this round, I think more of the Republican base will go for Donald Trump because they do see, and especially if any of this, I don't know what the fuck kind of show the Republicans were putting on today, trying to have that press conference. They talked for fucking 30 minutes without saying anything. And I'm not
Well,
being rude, but
some would argue that they talked 30 minutes without saying anything because they may not have anything.
I'm going to say if they had anything, it would have been explosive. We finally got you, Joe Biden, today, but it was like they threw a fucking rock and it hit the wall and it just fell to fell to the ground. I mean, I watched that
Well,
shit show on TikTok Live and it was just horrible. The
and
guy
that's
said he fact checks and then fact checks before he puts out any information, and I'm like, well, go back and do some more fact checking.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, like I said, today was not a good day for the Republican Party.
well, it hasn't been a good week because you got Santos, George Santos out of New York being arrested. You got Trump losing the case yesterday, and now we're here talking about. I mean, when you talk about how bad Biden is doing, and there's a hell of a lot of people that agree with you that Biden is not doing a good job. Some of them, a lot of them are liberals that do not favor President Biden. But when you got Trump constantly making the news for stuff like this, getting arrested and found liable for sexual assault, and then you got George Santos lying about everything, getting arrested, you got to say hooray for Biden. You guys are giving Biden gifts that he wouldn't
The
normally
only,
get.
the only thing I'm going to say on that part is we all know what happened in 2020. And I'm going to say this. I know they say after hours, all the mail-in ballots went to Biden, yada, yada, yada. I think this is all a fucking distraction leading up to the 2024 election to hurt Trump and to hurt his base. I honestly do. I think 90% Trump even said he didn't know that woman. He said he wasn't in the same clothing store as her that
Well,
day.
well, he also said he didn't know Stormy Daniels. You believe all of that?
Well, I mean, his lawyer, Trump never had any implication in that. His lawyer took care of all that. So it's kind of hard to say if Trump
So
knew
you,
anything
so
about that or not.
you believe that Trump had his lawyer give Stormy Daniels $130,000 because she was about to make up some shit that he never met her at all?
I think Stormy Daniels, like everybody in fucking Washington, oh, they're doing a tell-all book. You got to buy this book because there's smoking evidence in it. Every fucking person in Washington does that. It's like even Jim Comey. He come out with a smoking fucking book, and literally nobody bought the motherfucker. Literally nobody bought the motherfucker. I'm like,
I,
good Lord, man.
I think I
But,
may have it over here. I got just about every
oh,
one of
come
them.
on. Come on, man.
Here's
Oh, my
here's
God.
Jim Barr. I got just about all of them. Here's Chris
Uh,
Christie.
oh, come on, handsome liberal.
I'm pretty sure I got it over here somewhere. I'd have to look, but I get all of their books, man. So, but at the end, so at the end of the day, you do
At the end of
believe
the day,
that.
about Stormy Daniels, I feel like she wrote a book. She was trying to ring up some fucking value, trying to make some money, get another one of those Washington get rich quick schemes. She put Trump's name out there. She contacted his lawyer and said, "Hey, if you don't pay me this hush money, me and Trump had an affair back in so and so day, and I'm going to
Then why
publish
wouldn't
it
he
to the."
say that? Why wouldn't he say that? She just, I don't know. He didn't even say that himself that she was trying to shake him down like that.
No, he didn't say that, but like I said, Michael Cohen, it's a fucking proven fact now. He lied to Congress. He lied to the House. He's lied to literally everybody. I mean, I don't see how in the fuck he's not disbarred for life.
But you're talking about Michael Cohen being a shady Karen, and you don't see how the hell he isn't being disbarred. Why aren't you questioning how the hell he could be Trump's lawyer for 20 years? If he that bad, how did he stay around Trump for 20 straight years?
Trump had 20 plus lawyers over the years, like I said, and over 20-year periods. Michael Cohen
What
was
happened
just
to
one of
some?
them.
What happened to surrounding yourself with the best and brightest? Why are all these shady characters around Trump at his own behest? Trump is hiring these people.
I get what you're saying, but look at what Biden's
Yeah.
doing right now. I'm not trying to be rude, but he hired Kamala Harris, man, and I'm not being rude. Praise God, she's the first African American black woman to be vice president of the world. But goddamn, could we not have elected Michelle Obama or something?
You
I mean,
think if
I'm
we
not.
had a woman, let me ask you an honest question. I got to move it on, but I'll give you the last word. Honest question. Let's say if we had Kamala, instead of Kamala Harris, we had Michelle Obama in there and she was in line for the job. Do you think MAGA and folks on the right would be any happier than Kamala?
I actually believe more people would actually jump on the wagon and start, actually paying attention to the government again. What we have right now is literally the fucking laughing stock of the world. We're having, I mean,
So
when you've got
if,
a
if you
sitting
believe that,
president who can,
if you believe they would be happier with Michelle, any idea why they're calling her a man?
man, you see articles everywhere, and I've seen that shit going around Facebook. Somebody photoshopped to make Michelle Obama look like a man and calling her Michael, and goddamn, people's gonna pick and choose what they want to do, man. It's just we live in a fucking world now where you don't know who you're talking to anymore. Hell, me and you're sitting
Yeah.
here talking. I could be, wearing, and don't anybody take offense to this, but I could literally be wearing fucking 12-inch stilettos right now and a damn dress. and a
Well,
damn dress.
I am liberal. If you was doing that, you'd be welcome on the show, and I wouldn't
Oh
judge you.
yeah.
I am a liberal. I'm a
Well,
liberal.
like I
I got to
said,
move it on, though, Michael. I
all
got to
right, bud.
move it
Have a
on.
good night.
Absolutely a pleasure. Good talk, man. Good talk.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
looking in.
Comments, by the way, Heather, thank you for that. Heather, that did not go unnoticed. I appreciate that generosity. The starfish and all. Thank you, Heather. In the comments, I gotta read this. John McKelvey. Trump, 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 Trump is the best. That's 13 Trumps. I don't know if that's good luck or not, but that was 13 Trumps in the comment. Even Joan Rivers said Michelle was a man. Joan Rivers is a comedian. If you want to hold what Joan Rivers said as fact, you want to go with what all the comedians have said about Trump? I mean, really, we want to bring up Joan Rivers? Seriously, the late Joan Rivers? Theodore, what is that called? Pinata or whatever it is? Thank you. Let me go back to the box. Joan Rivers said Michelle Obama's a man. Okay. Jim, welcome to the program. Welcome. Good evening, Jim.
Hopefully, you caught the CNN town hall with number 45. Did you catch the town hall?
No, I didn't catch. I didn't even know it was happening.
Oh man, it was very interesting. I will say this, and thank you for the TikTok hat there. I think that was Troy. I would highly advise those who didn't catch it. It'll probably be available on YouTube. Just about every political analyst in the game is going to be talking about it. I mean, I hear Tucker's going to be on Twitter soon. Running away, Tucker obviously is an exceptionally wealthy guy, so I think he would have had a no compete clause with Fox News. He is willing to forego, I think, about $20 million to start his own program on Twitter, because typically you can't just go and do your own shit if it's competing with your former employer. But it sounds like Tucker Carlson is turning down a hell of a lot of money that Fox News would have owed him to go live. But in regards to President Trump, I want to ask you some of his greatest hits. He's still saying Ron the Sanctimonious. You think that helps him out at all?
I don't think it matters. Because
Okay.
I honestly, I don't know what's going to happen with Ron DeSantis, but I think that the way America is right now, I think Ron DeSantis has the best chance if he is there, because I think people are tired of both Trump and Biden.
I kind of, even though I lean left, I kind of echo that sentiment with one exception. I do believe with DeSantis being younger could give the same policies as Trump. Many people believe that. I do believe Ron DeSantis would have been far more competitive up against Joe Biden, with one exception. He has dived off into the social issue. trying to appease the MAGA base. So in all of that CRT, the battle with Disney and things like that, I think that has really hurt him to the point where even Trump is using that Disney fiasco against him. If he had to just continue running Florida quite effectively, I think he would have been competitive to Biden. But at the end of the day, he has to go through Trump first, and he is going to take a major hit going up against Trump. So I don't think he's going to even survive to make it to the top of the ticket.
I think he's smart enough that he can take on Trump.
And win?
Yes.
Have you seen the numbers? Trump was on TV tonight at the CNN town hall claiming that he's leading DeSantis by 40 points. Theodore, appreciate that. Looks like a ukulele. Appreciate that. He's saying he's in fact, Trump has stated he's not even going to debate these folks. He said it ain't even worth my time. I'm beating you by 40 points.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd say that because he knows it ain't true.
You think DeSantis could beat Trump in a debate?
Yes, I truly believe he would.
Wow. Now, I'm assuming you want to vote for DeSantis.
Yes, I would. Definitely.
Wow. Okay. Well, something, listen, I lean left, but I can see, certainly the state of Florida, the Floridians are quite happy with how their state is being ran. I don't think DeSantis is a bad politician. He doesn't follow my social issues leaning left, but I do believe he is far less hostile, a little bit divisive in Trump, but I believe your party likes the divisiveness of Trump. It's, you often hear, well, we love Trump because of his policies. He runs his mouth a bit much, but we don't have to vote based on emotion. We like his policies. If you liked his policies, you'd vote for DeSantis. The fact is, they like the rhetoric. Trump has never called Nancy Pelosi nervous Nancy or sleepy Joe Biden without the audience going nuts with applause. They like that stuff. So when they say, well, it's the policies not, no, you do like that stuff. There's a reason why he keeps saying it, because they're cheering him on so much.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's the show business of it.
Yeah. And by the way, tonight on the town hall, he did use the phrase Ron DeSanctimonious and crazy Nancy Pelosi. So he did use those terms tonight. Yeah.
And it works for him,
Yeah.
As much as, the names don't bother me, but it does some people. But, I've said before, I voted for him both times. And if it comes down to it, if it's him and Biden, I'm voting for him again.
Yeah.
Because, that's just the way I see things. But at the same time, I would rather see somebody with a little more politicalness to it, knowing how. It's all good to run it look at it like a business, but you also got to play politician and you got to know how to talk.
Right. So let me ask you this.
With anything.
I want to cover some of the greatest hits from this. Now, many on the right would suggest that rolling back Roe versus Wade was never been. Somebody gave me a subscription, by the way. I appreciate that. Whoever did that, I didn't see that, but damn, thank you. I wanted to point out many folks on the right believe that rolling back Roe versus Wade is not an effort to have a national abortion ban. It's to simply give the rights back to the states. Trump was asked tonight if he is reelected as president, would he sign into law a national abortion ban if it was proposed in front of him? His response is, I would have to see what the people decide. So he did not deny that he could possibly entertain a national abortion ban. And she asked him 3 times to get clarity. So just want to point that out there when folks say that, well, they're just trying to give it back to the states. You already had Mike Pence say he was for a national abortion ban. Lindsey Graham has also said it, and Mitch McConnell said it could happen. Now President Trump is making it clear he would not be opposed to it. So that's a 4th politician leading the Republican Party that's making it clear a national abortion ban is very possible.
Or he said what the people want. Just
he
like
didn't say
Oklahoma.
No. That's the point, though. He did not say no.
Yeah, he said what the people want.
Right. So
that's his job.
If Trump is reelected and he gets reelected with a Republican House and Senate, which often happens on the first term, the president would generally win both houses.
Yeah.
The people are going to want a national abortion ban. If you get a Republican House and a Republican Senate, the people are going to want a national abortion ban.
Well, yeah, probably the representatives would, but I don't know if it would get done. I really don't, because I think it would be, and I think the Republicans know that it's death for them in the next election.
Well, I don't disagree with you, and I don't disagree with you that it would be difficult to do it. But based on the language coming from those four politicians, it's pretty clear that they would be willing to do it if it came down the pipe. All of this states' rights talk, they're making it clear that we are willing to go above and beyond states' rights and do this federally. I mean, that is a fourth politician that's saying that. So, I
But
mean,
I
what are
think,
we just go ahead?
I do think that when you say, it decides what the people want, because, we see the certain states like, was it Oklahoma, that they put it on the bill and everybody thought, well, yeah, it's Oklahoma, they're conservative, and which it is a conservative state, but you see how it turned out. That's
Right.
why he answered it that way.
Okay. Well, real quick in the comments, Juice873, thank you for the subscription. Shout out to Heather for that assistance. Thank you. Well, and I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, if you are pro-choice or you are against a national abortion ban, like a lot of libertarians might be pro-life, but they don't want it to be done on a federal level. If you are pro-choice or you're a libertarian that does not want it done federally, based on what's coming out of these leading members of the Republican Party's mouth, this could be an issue not to vote for Republicans, because they're making it clear that they would, at the very least, entertain a national abortion ban. Trump could have easily squelched that by saying, no, this has always been about returning the rights to the states. When he starts saying, I want to hear what the people thinks, that's opening up the door to say, yeah, you're down with a national abortion ban if you get enough votes for it.
Yeah. And it could be, I'm one of them. I'm more libertarian. I think it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Because I think.
What about this one? Let me give you another greatest hits. And I think we agree on the abortion issue, but let me give you another greatest hits. He was asked if he would entertain pardoning those who breached the Capitol building on January 6th. Even the Proud Boys, that the leaders of the Proud Boys that were recently found guilty. Once again, he brought up what has taken place with Antifa in Portland, Black Lives Matter rallies and things like that, and stated that it shouldn't be two justice systems. So he made it clear he would certainly entertain pardoning some of those, if not all of those. He didn't say some or all, but he definitely said he would entertain pardoning some of those who breached the Capitol building on January 6th. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, yeah, I think it's a good thing to say that, but I don't think it's a good thing to compare it to what other people done. It has to be on the basis of what has happened in the case that they're dealing with. So my thing is, if you're just going to pardon somebody just to pardon them for political reason, that's stupid. And I think American people see through that. That causes division. If you pardon a person,
and based on that language, I would agree. It does sound like he is leaning towards pardoning them strictly for political reasons. One other one before I move it on. Ashley Babbitt, the Air Force veteran that was shot trying to climb through a partition by a Capitol police officer. He referred to that officer as a thug. Now remember, he's part of the Law and Order party. He referred to the officer that shot Ashley Babbitt as a thug. How do you view that?
I've seen the the video that came out from that, and I don't know. I think the officer overreacted, but
do you think he acted like a thug?
In some ways, yeah.
How so?
But I heard you earlier say that the thug was just related to.
It could be viewed that way. Certain terms I mentioned, terrorism, racism, illegal immigrants. Yeah. Certain terms make you think of certain people, and thug has always been generally used in conjunction with African Americans. So I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying when he said that he was being racist, but I'm saying people could construe it that way.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt people could construe it that way. But I've used that term for. I'm only 53, but I always thought a thug is like where I got it from is from the mafia guys, we always thought of a thug as the
So,
guy that handled business for the mafia, you know.
but when this cop opened fire on Ashley Babbitt, he clearly wasn't doing business for the mafia. Where does the phrase "thug" come from?
Well, I think it's people. That's what they do, you know. When you're handling business, just like a thug. I always thought of a thug as the guy that handled, like the guy that collected the cash, the guy that did the dirty work, that was out there doing the dirty work. And that's
Yeah.
kind of, when you think of the cop doing that, he's kind of doing the dirty work for the. Now, I
Yeah,
don't know
I
his
get
mind
your point.
thought, and I don't really know. I don't know if that's true or false or anything else. I'm just saying that's, the term
Well,
thug is.
based on the video you saw, do you think Ashley Babbitt's death was justifiable?
No.
What do you think the cop should have did?
The cop should have waited till they breached the door.
Well, you got
I
a
mean,
window. You got a partition, a window that's been put up to protect the officer and the folks that are cowering behind him. He has
yeah,
his gun outstretched, telling the crowd to stay back. They have broken a hole in the partition, and Ashley Babbitt is actively trying to crawl through the partition while he has a gun aimed out saying, "Stay back." What do you think
yeah.
he should do in a case like that?
Wait till she gets through.
She's at
I look at.
gunpoint. She's at gunpoint, clearly not following instructions. You say he should continue waiting until she not follows instructions further and gets even closer to him?
It's just like this. You look at it under the laws of the United States when and I don't know what it is, Washington D.C., but whether that be either Maryland law or whatever. But I can tell you that somebody has to be armed or somehow dangerous to you just because they're coming through.
What about the 4,000 or 5,000 people that's behind her that's going to come through the hole with her?
Well, I don't think they are.
Well, no,
You got
because he
one
shot
person.
her. If he didn't shoot her, they would have followed him through. But when he put a hole in her neck, they decided maybe it's not a good idea to crawl in here. Isn't what
Yeah,
he did kind of a classic case of FAFO?
I don't know.
Okay, all
But
right, fair enough.
uh, you know,
I gotta move it on, Jim. I give you the last
but
word, though.
before you go, the reason I came in, I wanted to ask you about the Republicans come out and talk about all the Joe Biden companies and stuff. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't, but I've heard some folks recommend it to me because of what happened with Santos today getting arrested. There's been so much news coming out, and that's what I said. They're giving Biden gifts. You can't even focus on Biden because the Republicans are dominating the news. I haven't seen it yet, though.
It's interesting to watch because I think it's and I don't even know about the Santos thing because I ain't paid attention to the news. That's probably why I didn't know Trump was on. But I just happened to catch the conference earlier on a replay, and I listened to it. And I think there's some pretty compelling evidence. And what scares me is they're going to remove him, and we are going to get Kamala Harris.
You out?
What are we going to do then? What are we
That's a
going to do
hell
then?
of a conundrum that you're in because we don't like Hunter. We're pissed off Biden sucks. But if we get what we want, then Kamala steps up to the plate.
Hey, isn't that
Hey,
sad?
yeah, that's not a good position to be in.
I
So
mean,
for us
I don't mean to be
liberals,
mean, but that's a sad day. What's our three
no,
decisions
but at
right
the
now?
end of the day, just to be honest, although Kamala doesn't have any decent rate, her ratings are not favorable. Even with liberals, they're not. But at the end of the day, we don't know what Kamala would do. We don't. I mean, she doesn't have a lot of experience. She may get in there and be like Aaron Rodgers sitting behind Brett Favre. She may start throwing touchdowns everywhere. We don't know. We're kind of just judging her based on a little bit of DA work in California, but we really don't know what Kamala would do.
I truly, I just don't think she's ready for that office.
Yeah,
But as a person, I don't have any ill feelings like I do like towards Biden. I don't
right.
look at her as like a crime family. Yeah, she might, just like every other politician, they want to reach them high offices. That's uh, motivation, whatever you want to call it. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't think she's capable of having that on her shoulders. That's a
Well,
responsibility. I don't care who you are.
I'm going to be honest with you. They said the exact same thing about Barack Obama. He wasn't ready. He was only a community organizer. He became senator, and he only was there for 2 years, and he spent some of that campaigning for president. And he didn't turn out that bad. Even if you totally despise President Obama, you got to admit the country didn't fall apart when the guy was president. So you
Now,
never know until they get in there.
hey, I bet most of the Republicans would take him back if it was the
No,
same type of presidency at this
that
moment.
ain't gonna happen.
I
That
know
ain't
that, but
gonna
I'm
happen.
just saying, if I had to do it all over again, I would trade his presidency for Trump or for Biden's right now.
Did I slip of the tongue? Did I hear a slip of the tongue?
No, no, not. We've talked before. I've changed my name on here, but we've talked quite a few times before. I'm not a Trump apologist. I think Trump's an idiot, but I have to vote for him just because I don't like a lot of things he does. I don't like a lot of things these Republicans do.
Yeah.
But for just my opinion, there's so many things that the liberals do that are so bad that you force me to vote for this guy. That's how bad things are. In
Well, you
normal
know something. I'll
circumstances.
tell you this. I do got to move it on, but I will tell you this: when you say the liberals are doing such crappy stuff that I got to vote for a guy I really don't want to. When you got a Republican talking about a national abortion ban, you're going to have a hell of a lot of women saying exactly what you're saying. The economy sucks, Biden sucks, but the Republicans are talking about an actual national abortion ban. So they're forcing me to vote for this guy. So that could happen in reverse. But I got to move it on, Jim.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming in here. All
Yep. See you,
right.
man. Uh-huh.
Hey, good
Bye.
talk. All right.
In the comment section here. By the way, appreciate you folks that are following the program. If this is what you enjoy, civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored for your damn opinion, come on in, follow the program. Helps out the algorithms. Show your boys some love. Can't even find my place, but as always, this program is and shall forever remain MAGA friendly. Been MAGA friendly since day one, and it will be the entire life of the program. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome on the program. Looking in the comment section, rest in peace. I saw a rest in peace both to Trump and Biden. I don't know why you guys are saying that, but I'm gonna leave that alone. Same old sick chat at the town hall. Get it real, winner Republicans. Ebony, the left side of me, I gotta admit, if I had to give my analysis, and there are legitimate reasons to vote for President Trump, but no, I don't believe doing the same stuff is helping them out at all. One of the biggest issues I think that is certainly going to set Trump back is continuing to rehash the 2020 election. There's a hell of a lot of Republicans that do not believe that election was stolen from them. And even for those who do believe it was stolen from them, at the end of the day, you got to admit, you're not going to get it back at this point. It's nobody, you can't rewind time. Biden's term, which you probably would cheer me for saying this, is almost over with. So continuing to rehash the 2020 election, there's no benefit to it. There is literally no upside to doing that. The people that feel like the election was stolen from Trump, they're going to vote for you anyway. Rehashing the 2020 election is not growing his base by a single individual. There is no benefit to that. If anything, it's costing them voters. So why keep doing that? Now, folks are talking about, well, CNN gave him a free town hall, a free rally, or whatever. Yeah, they gave him a free chance to act in the ass as well, because there's a hell of a lot of liberals that are not happy with President Biden. So maybe they started thinking, well, maybe we'll go back to Trump. Well, by putting Trump on CNN so that some liberals can see him, they gave him a chance to remind liberals why they voted against him in the first place. So it may have not helped. All right, going back to the box. Rainy Kane. Good evening. Welcome.
The program. What do you think? Rainey, did you see the town hall?
I caught the clips on Twitter, and it was a wreck. I am so it's like CNN just disappointed fundamentally. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It was such a disappointment. The fact, I think the most thing that was jarring for me was when he was saying the Democrats advocate for full term babies being born and then being
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah,
And then the CNN chick didn't even push back, didn't say this isn't true, nothing.
Well, sometimes when I got a guest on the program and they say some wild shit, sometimes it's better to just let them talk because the audience can hear it. But he did talk about Democrats wanting to. He said Democrats will let you actually give birth and then decide if they want to terminate the baby or not.
Yeah, because we have doctors in America that are killing babies, like full born babies. That's what we do here. The man is sick. He's literally sick.
Yeah, it was certainly his greatest hits, and there are, like I said, there's some legitimate reasons to support him. But yeah, the Democratic Party, there aren't many women out there that are trying to abort live babies, where you're going to carry the child for 9 months, pass the child, let them cut the cord, and then say, I want to kill this. I mean, it is insane that you hear that in right wing circles. That is extreme. I don't even know if extreme is the right word. But yeah, he did say that. And I'm looking at the TV like, I cannot believe that. And I got in the comments. In the comments right now, Underwood is saying that that is happening, that they are aborting live babies.
Again, tell me which American doctor is doing this. That's not logical, people.
Yeah.
It's like this is what I mean. He could convince these people that that's happening. That
Yeah.
doctors in America are doing this. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, you said it was greatest hits, and you mentioned all the things about liberals. Yeah, you in your last caller, you mentioned how liberals don't like Joe Biden or want
His
somebody
numbers
new.
are bad.
But
His numbers
today
are
was
bad among the liberals.
well, no, but today was a reminder is like, we don't really give a fuck. We cannot
Yep.
have this fool. We can't have
Yep.
him. That's the bottom line here. I
Yep.
don't give a damn about Joe Biden or whatever other problems you all perceive. I will
You
not
know,
live 4 years with Donald Trump being president. He's a
Yeah,
disgrace.
I had an earlier caller ask me, "Do you really believe Biden got 81 million votes?" And I told him no. I told him a lot of Biden's votes are anti-Trump votes. Exactly what you said. A lot of folks checked off Biden that would have checked off a dog if they're on there. Because there's a lot of folks who voted not for Biden, but they really hated Trump. And as you just stated, and I agree with that 100%, there's a lot of voters out there that are so disgusted with Trump that they don't care who the competition is. Even if Biden truly did not know where the hell he was at, they would still vote for him.
Like I told you, I vote for Joe Biden and a gurney. I don't he don't even have to be just sign here, fool. I don't give a damn. I would never vote for Donald Trump ever. Anyway, I know you got callers. I just wanted to come up and just say CNN really their ratings were trash before this. I don't even know if they're gonna exist. Larry King should be rolling in his grave right now. That was a disgrace.
No, you don't get rid of Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon within the span of a few months. You don't get rid of both of your primetime guests. Now that was a ratings bonanza. Now, if your goal is for ratings, then yeah, what they did tonight was a good thing, in my opinion.
I'm saying after this because it pissed so many people off that CNN the day after this man was convicted of sex crimes against a woman, and you have this man on as a platform. You give him free campaign. That's all this was, is free advertisement to remind everybody how much of an idiot this fool is. But anyway, I'll jump off.
Well, yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
fair enough. I'll move it on, but I'll just say this in passing. I understand what they did because I get the same thing. I get folks all the time on the program. You're giving these people a platform, or you giving these folks a platform. At the end of the day, I say this: just because you silence someone or you don't let them speak on your platform does not mean they're not voicing their opinion out there somewhere. So I'd rather give them a platform so that we can make our own decisions as opposed to silencing them and letting them simply go somewhere else and say that. Trump's going to speak no matter if he's on CNN or not. So why not let him
Yeah, but
speak? And I want
CNN is supposed to be a credible organization, not a Ponzi scheme clown show like Fox News is. I mean, and Joe Biden, as horrible as Fox News treats him, he should never go on that program. Period.
but
Donald Trump called that network the enemy of the people for 4 years straight, and you give
yeah.
him a platform. I digress. All right, talk to you later, babe.
All right, good talk. All right, I will say this in regard
to what my last caller said. Trump is candidate for president. He is widely expected to lead the Republican ticket. if you have a political affiliation, political news show, you talk politics on your channel, in my opinion, you got to put him on. No matter how controversial he is, you got to put him on. Because if he gets reelected, he's going to be in the news. What are you not going to cover all his news stories as well? I'm going to side with CNN. I understand Rainey and a lot of other callers think it was a bad idea, but I believe in letting people speak, whether you agree with them or not. I believe it's important to let everybody speak. So if I was the one making the call at CNN, hell, I would have probably been reaching out to Trump, asking him for his opinion. I would be putting him on all the time. In addition, we also want ratings. I mean, that's what a news broadcaster does. When I'm talking to you folks, I want you to tap the screen, which you guys aren't doing right now. Get your boy up to 60,000. But it's all about being seen. I like dialogue because this is how we educate each other. I don't know all the damn answers, and neither do you. So civilized dialogue is how this works. So I want as many folks viewing as possible. CNN does it on a much larger scale. So I'm just not a fan of silencing someone, particularly when they are widely expected to be the Republican nominee. I just don't think there's any benefit to silencing him. He's still speaking. He's going to still speak anyway. All right, looking in the comments, Trump is a cult leader, says Reezer. A lot of folks do say that MAGA has a hell of a lot of cult members among it. I can't speak on it. I'm not MAGA, but at the end of the day, if President Trump feels confident enough to say, I could shoot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue and some of my supporters would go nowhere, then that would allude to the belief that at least he thinks he has some cult followers. That's the only reason why you would say that. Looking in the comments, Abortion Law Reform Act 2019 allowed in New South Wales to let full-term babies die. Well, this isn't New South Wales, and I used to live in New South Wales, that's where Sydney, Australia is at. I haven't heard of that even over there, but I left in 2010, and you're saying that's in 2019. Allowed in New South Wales to let full-term babies die. Well, why would you have to quote unquote, let a full-term baby die? If you have a baby, a full-term healthy baby, it's not going to die. It's going to keep living and growing. So if you're letting it die, that would suggest that something must be wrong with it. Why are you letting it die? Think about what you just said there. All right, let me go back to the box. Joby, good evening.
And appreciate you holding there, Joby. What do you think? Did you see CNN town hall?
And I think he admitted that he shows people classified documents.
Yeah, he basically said he could do anything he wanted with them, and he also stated that the minute he brings them home, and I didn't write that in my notes. He said so many greatest hits, I didn't know what to do, but he did say that the minute I bring the documents home, they're classified.
He's still admitting or claiming voter fraud. Even after, I give the moderator credit because she kept asking the same question over and over again, which is what you have to do with him. You can't let him deflect. Keep going with the same question and give him all the rope he needs.
Yeah, that was by no means a softball interview. She was on him. That was not Hannity. That was not Laura Ingraham. She was on him to the point where he actually looked at her and said, "You are a nasty woman."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how women in general on either side of the fence can support him. I don't understand that. Because he's now been convicted of sexual assault. That's a fact now. He did it. And there's
no, they got him, but they did get him of sexual abuse, but he did beat the main claim of rape.
Do you know why? Did you hear the lady on the MSNBC?
No.
She said on TV that the reason the rape charge didn't stick is because she felt him penetrate her with his fingers, but when it came time to the sexual act, she couldn't feel anything.
Huh?
Yeah, she didn't feel anything from his sexual parts, so that's why it wasn't grape.
Wait a minute. So you're saying, I didn't hear this. So you're saying he used his fingers, but then he used his manhood, and
And
she didn't feel the manhood.
she didn't feel anything, so they can't confirm that she was penetrated by him sexually. So
Damn,
there you go.
I don't know how I would take it if a woman says she can't even feel my shit.
Only one way to take it.
That ain't a compliment. That's not good. I don't know if I got to move my hips like Elvis or what. I got to put a weight on my booty. I mean, like, you can't feel this. What? Like, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, there you go. And I liked how he tried to deflect about the 11,000 votes in Georgia that he kept trying to go around that. He wouldn't address that.
Yeah.
And,
what about the notion he's actually made it clear he would consider pardoning those involved on January 6th?
Well, he's been making that promise for a long time.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you are an ex-president. You have some sort of power. He ain't even made a move to help anybody. Kim Kardashian got more people out of jail than he did.
He gave it lip service, I believe, and I think that's where a lot of the folks believe that that he actually did some criminal justice reform, because he did give it lip service. Like, for instance, with the wall, you've seen the whole saying that you didn't build a wall, you only built like 50 miles of wall. And he was like, no, I built the whole wall. She's like, no, you only built 50 miles. So that host was hammering him.
Yeah, but that's the thing about him, like what you were saying before, when he said, I can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose any supporters. That's one of his most telling statements, because obviously it's illegal to shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue. That's against the law. So what he's saying is, look, I can break the law. I can do whatever I want, say what I want, and I will not lose any support. And he meant that. And that's true. It doesn't matter.
But even with the notion that Trump does some things that are really suspect and controversial, Jason Hensley is in the comments saying, but Joe Biden is the worst president in history.
Well, he doesn't know history. He doesn't know anything about history.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all I got for him. He doesn't know. What does he know about history? Because they can't debate. Because when I talk to people and they bring up Hunter Biden's laptop, I go, what's on a laptop? I don't know. Hillary Clinton's emails. What emails? I don't know. Because if it's not, they can't go past the meme.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to Hillary Clinton's emails, to me, the main question is obvious. When Trump got elected, he was already talking about Hillary Clinton and her corruption, even in the debates with Hillary Clinton. So the obvious question is, if she was that corrupt, why didn't he do anything about going after her the 4 years he was in office? So,
right.
I mean, you're going around the country letting your supporters yell lock her up, and you're doing literally nothing to make that happen. She didn't get indicted. She wasn't even called to testify during this time. So no matter how corrupt you think Hillary Clinton is, you got to blame Trump for dropping the ball on that.
And he had Hunter Biden's laptop. His administration had it in their possession for a long time. Where are the charges? Where's your investigation? What are the results? But that's what I'm saying. It's just memes and punchlines. That's all he has. There's no substance to the man. Nothing behind the curtain.
What about his original phrase? You're going to get tired of winning.
Yeah, I'm tired of winning. If that's what you call winning, I'm sick and tired of it. Very tired of it. I can't take any more winning. I can't take another minute of winning, if that's what he calls winning.
Yeah.
He said it, man. He basically admitted that he's not, if he loses the election, it's fixed. He's saying it again in another way. Because she kept asking him, will you accept the results no matter what? And he goes, if they're fair, which is what he's saying is, if I win.
He answered the question the very same way when he was on stage with the other 16 Republican candidates in 2015. They asked him then, is there any one of you up here that would not support the actual nominee of whoever comes out of this? And Trump was the only one to raise his hand. So he stated even back in 2015 exactly the same thing. I would only accept it if I think it was held fairly. And for the most part, it does appear as though if he doesn't win an election, it's not held fairly. Now, in the comments, I got to ask you this, because I've seen this, and this is crazy. Reason says Trump could sexually assault a puppy, and MAGAs would blame the puppy.
It kind of feels that way. I mean, because according to him, for over 1 million years, celebrities have been sexually assaulting people, unfortunately and fortunately. Now, I don't know what stars were around a million years ago, and I can't believe he said something that damn stupid, because I don't, were there people around a million years ago? But apparently, for a million years, if you were a celebrity, you can assault people over the last million years. I don't know where he's getting that, but that's just some dumbass shit to say.
Well, what about the notion that he did talk about, at least at the very least, entertaining a national abortion ban?
But that's what I'm saying. If any woman out there can really back that and support that, I mean, you're voting against your own interest. I mean, come on. A national abortion ban, killing babies after they're born. That's murder.
Yeah. Well, he did say that liberals are in favor of killing children after they're born. He did say that, said that we would let the kid be born and then murder it.
But that's what I mean. He just says outrageous stuff, and they believe him verbatim.
Well, he was also asked, do he think he owes Mike Pence an apology for January 6th? And he said no. Mike Pence did the wrong thing. He didn't send the election back. So even with Mike Pence, this late in the game, being given a chance to apologize to Mike Pence, he didn't apologize at all. Said the guy was wrong.
Name one time since 2016 that Trump has issued an apology.
He's not known to do that. I gotta admit, he is not known to do that. So even when he's
categorically wrong.
No,
my inauguration crowd was bigger than Biden's, and there's pictures everywhere. Were you wrong? No, I'm right.
Yeah, he's not known for his apology. He's not known for tactful apologies at all. But listen, Joby, I do got to moving on. You know how we do it here. Good talk.
Thanks a lot. Have a good night.
You too. In the comments,
I always get these crazy comments. So someone said, wouldn't let Jason Hensley or someone into the box. Actually, I looked in the box. They're not even in there. So, listen, folks, at the end of the day, I get everyone from left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. I don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. And I sure as hell would never deny you a chance to speak to yours truly, to tear yours truly a new one, simply because of something you said. I get torn a new one all the time. Hell, that's how I learn a lot of shit. And some of you folks make it clear I don't know what I'm talking about on this or that. I do my homework. I'll concede the point if necessary or correct you if you are wrong. But at the end of the day, you don't get blocked, banned, or censored here because you have a difference of opinion with the host or that you can correct the host. I invite all dissenting opinions on this program every single day. You don't vote for me, you ain't black, says Manny Press. Listen, Biden made that statement very unfavorable. He was held to account by a lot of African Americans. Now, Biden apologized profusely for that suspiciously racist comment. At the end of the day, I guess it would be up to folks who feel like it was racist or aimed towards them to rather accept his apology or reject his apology. But I will tell you guys this. Regardless of how you feel about Biden apologizing for some of his racially charged statements of the past, an apology will beat fuck your feelings 100% of the time. Even if the apology is not totally legitimate, it's always going to beat fuck your feelings. So we can point to things that President Biden said growing up in the racial jungle. You're talking about vote for me and you ain't black. All of these comments. He's apologized for that stuff. When the other guy's saying stuff that you feel is suspect and he's following it up with fuck your feelings, the guy who's voicing the apologies is going to win. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. The guy who's making the apologies is going to win. And Trump has said a hell of a lot of things that are racially suspicious as well. Now, the difference is that when we say that Trump is saying something suspicious or something that sounds suspect, most of my beloved MAGA don't buy it. You just don't buy it. I could give you all kinds of things that Trump has said or tweeted that was not proper, not on the up and up, that would easily lead African Americans to say that's racist as hell. But when I present that stuff to you folks, well, that's just a retweet, or that's just a joke, or he didn't mean that, or you took it the other way. Like, for instance, him tweeting out a video of a guy yelling white power. Why would he do that? How did that happen? No apology at all. Can somebody explain that? Why the president would use his own account to tweet out a guy yelling white power. And once he was corrected, Tim Scott, of all people, the only African American Republican senator, Tim Scott, demanded Trump take it down. No apology, no explanation of why he sent that. But when you bring that up as something that Trump did wrong, most folks on the right side of it, well, I don't think that's racist at all. So we can entertain vote for me or you ain't black, but you have to be willing to entertain it when it's coming from the other side as well. And to this day, I have absolutely no idea. And you're talking to somebody, even though I lean left, I'm capable of playing devil's advocate quite well. I can certainly see the other side of both sides of the aisle. I can see both people's opinion. I can't even come up with a devil's advocate reason why this guy would tweet out somebody yelling white power. No idea. And I certainly cannot come up with any excuse for why he wouldn't apologize for it. Looking in the comments. As long as you apologize, then it's okay. Okay, I get it. No. But if you don't apologize, I think that's a little bit more clear. When Biden apologizes, it leaves it up to the listener to determine whether he means the apology or not. Some going to believe he does. Some going to believe the apology is fake. It's going to go both ways. When Trump doesn't apologize at all, there's nowhere to go. If I step on your foot, we're sitting beside each other, and I get up and step on your foot, and you go, damn, that hurts, and I apologize. Maybe I tried to step on your foot, and the apology is bullshit. But then again, maybe it was an accident, and maybe the apology is sincere. That's up to you to judge that. But if I step on your foot and you go, damn, that hurts, and I don't apologize at all, what are you going to be left to think? That's the difference between apologizing and not. At least 50% of the people are going to believe the apology is sincere. But when you don't apologize at all, it's pretty clear that you probably meant what you did. Looking in the comments. And we go, when did he do what? The white power? We'll go to Kiss My Grits. Definitely a friend of the program.
Perfect guy to talk conversation
Hello,
like this.
it is Snuggles is in the house. You know what? That was a beautiful, beautiful interview tonight. I mean, all his fans were in the crowd on CNN. There was only one hater, and it was the interviewer. Wow, I loved it. Yeah, that was
National
great.
abortion ban. A potential national abortion ban. What's up with that?
I don't know what's up with that, but if I can get into this, listen, really, if I get into this really quick, I mean, we are spending $170 billion in Ukraine, and Europe has only paid $20 billion. Are you kidding me?
You think
Are you
most
kidding me?
Americans? You think most Americans
That's
are
what
going
Trump
to
said.
be? Yeah, I heard him, and I don't know enough to disagree with him. But you think
Right.
most Americans would be more focused on that lopsided Ukrainian issue as opposed to a national abortion ban?
Absolutely. With all the people coming in the border, you know, all those people having babies from 6 million people coming in through the border, please. There's going to be more babies, more abortions. I mean, it's going to be crazy, right? We got to pay for that on top of this war.
Well,
I'm telling
I
you,
don't.
it was a
Go
great
ahead.
interview. What's wrong? What does Trump have to apologize for? He used the Presidential Records Act. Okay, you could take out any paperwork. It was lined up there. People were taking pictures of it. While he was president, that stuff was being shipped to Mar-a-Lago. He was negotiating with archives. I mean, how hard could that be? And we're gonna have like people like Greg come up here and just act like Donald Trump and all that stuff. No need for it. He did what he did. He did things legally as president.
What about him suggesting that he would be in favor of pardoning the Proud Boys in regards to the January 6th events?
I don't think he's going to do anything with that. Just like you said with the Hillary Clinton stuff, I don't think
But he
he's going
was
to.
asked. He was
I think
asked. He was asked, and he indicated he would consider
right.
doing
He's
it.
not going to. He is not. He was never for the Proud Boys. He declined. You know, he denied white supremacy. He's not going to let those people out. I'm going to tell you that.
Then why would if Trump is a man of his word and he speaks how he feels, then why wouldn't he have just said that tonight? He didn't say what you're saying.
Absolutely. Listen, do you think he would look down that list carefully? and let the people out that are not part of those organizations. Are you
He
kidding me?
was asked. He was literally asked, "Would you consider pardoning the Proud Boys?" And he made it clear he would consider it. He just said that tonight.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see when that happens, right? On that part.
All right. How do you feel about him even not? How do you feel about the fact that he didn't outright say no, he wouldn't do it?
Well, you know what? He isn't for Proud Boys, and he isn't for. We both know white supremacy. He denied it. You know, he denied it on several occasions. So, are we going to bring this race stuff back into it? Is that all CNN cares about?
All he had to say was no, and it wouldn't come back up.
Right, right. But I guess that's just going to be the topic every time Trump comes here. White boys are here, or or Proud Boys are here, and white supremacists are around. I don't even want to talk about. That's a narrative that CNN builds up on, and it's tiring to hear about that. That's just a
If he
narrative.
would, yeah, but
Because
the
where are they
point is,
now? Where is the news media now at the Trump rallies? Have you seen CNN looking for Proud Boys and looking for white supremacists there at the rallies now? He's had several rallies post January 6th. Where's the news? Nowhere. This is a narrative. This is a story, and it's tiring to talk about, to be honest.
well,
Because if it was that
speaking of,
important, Handsome, wouldn't they still be on that topic? It's
I
only when
can't,
he's a president.
I can't speak for the network. But what about the fact that he called the officer that shot Ashley Babbitt a thug? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, he is. Why not?
Why do you think? Why do you? The Capitol Police officer.
All the other officers that shoot a black person, they're thugs too, right?
We're talking about this guy. You're diverting to
I'm
other
talking
topics.
about I'm talking about police officers across the country are thugs.
Yeah,
Period. Whoever they
but
shoot, right?
we're talking. Yeah, but you're going somewhere else that we're not. We're talking about the
Right.
Capitol building. That
Yes,
officer
we
that
are.
shot Ashley Babbitt, you said that officer is
Right.
a thug. Why
Definitely
do
a
you
thug
believe that?
because there were three police officers around them, right? They could have done it a different way, right? They could have restrained her. They could have done it a little bit differently, but they didn't. And they didn't make a big deal out of it. The guy wasn't prosecuted or anything like that, and it was no story. I'm talking if the races were different on this aspect, it'd be a different story, wouldn't it?
You're talking about officers that are greatly outnumbered, and you want them to start trying to restrain people in that
So
crowd
why didn't he shoot everybody that was coming in the door?
because once he shot her, they decided to stop.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Well, it's FAFO, isn't it? She fucked
Why didn't
around
they
and
shoot?
found out, and after
Why didn't they
that,
shoot?
nobody else was going to do it.
Why didn't they shoot the Viking that was walking around the hallways?
You talk about
Why didn't they
QAnon
shoot everybody?
Sharon.
Why didn't they shoot everyone coming in the door?
You know, that's a good question because the African American cop that was being chased up the stairs by those couple
Right,
guys, I
right,
assume he could have shot him. I mean, I don't know. I
right.
think there was a
I mean,
hell of justifiable shooting.
Did you see the movie White House Down with Jamie Foxx?
Yes.
Okay, so they shot everybody coming in the door. Why didn't they just do that? Just shoot everybody. What about Gerald Butler, right? Protecting Morgan Freeman. Everybody get fucking shot in that movie. So we
Those are
got
two
people
good
coming in.
movies.
So I don't
Yeah.
call that an insurrection. I call that a planned event. That was no
So,
insurrection on that day.
so when they were breaking through the windows and things like that, you think that was all planned?
If I was a police officer, I'd shoot everybody that was coming in that building because my life is in jeopardy. I would have shot everybody.
So
I don't
you
care
do
who you
believe
are.
that, so you do believe it would have been a justifiable shooting those people.
Absolutely. You're coming in. You're coming after the senators. You're coming after the vice president. Oh, everybody's so worried about Mike Pence being hung. Why didn't they shoot everybody then?
Then I gotta
They
ask you a
let them in the
question
door.
then.
The police let them in the door. They're walking around.
But you know
Those
the
people
police
should be
do that.
released from jail. Those people that were let in and walked around should be released from jail. They let them in. The
Okay.
police.
But
They let everybody in.
well, they didn't let everybody in because we're talking about guys that were
Well, they
breaking
let a lot
windows.
of people in.
Okay.
Those
But
people are
so in
still in
other
jail.
words, you do believe the ones that breached the building and broke in were
Should stay in
justifiable
jail.
shooting. No,
Right.
you said shooting.
I think the people that broke in, I think the people that did break in should be in jail. But I think the people he wants to pardon are the people that were let in. You have to go through.
He
You have
didn't
to
say
really let.
he didn't say
I'm just
that.
saying, yeah, you don't have to say that if you can use your own mind. We know how Trump thinks. I know how Trump thinks. He's a good person. He loves the American people. Did you see the
Well, if
people
he's
in the
a good
crowd clapping for him?
person, if he's a good person, he loves American people. Any idea why he referred to E. Jean Carroll as a quote unquote whack job? He called her a whack job this evening. She just beat him yesterday for a defamation case,
I
and
would.
tonight he's
I would
calling her
call
a
her a
whack
whack.
job.
Have you seen her interviews? I would call her a whack job myself. Okay, somebody accuses me of graping. I would be pissed off too. I would say anything that can. If somebody said something rude about you, would you be sweet and say, "Oh, I'm going to be nice"? No, you would go off on somebody that's accusing you of something, wouldn't you? Wouldn't any normal
No,
human, a
now
guy,
if
actually?
let me respond to that. Let me respond to that. If
Yeah,
you accuse me of something
right,
and you beat me in court because according to a jury you proved that I actually did it, and
right,
you
right,
beat me out of a defamation case proving that
right,
I've said some things about you that were not true. I'm not
right.
going to go on TV the next night and
Hey,
say something else about you
right.
leading to another defamation
Right.
case.
This case has no evidence at all. Okay. This case is a he said, she said. She won herself $5 million. This was a lawsuit, and you got Joby coming in here saying, it's a crime. It's SA. No, it isn't a crime. He doesn't have a criminal record. He's not in jail, so it's not a crime. So they come in here. Well, most liberals, this is a crime. No, it ain't. It's a lawsuit. End of subject. It's over. Move on. Next. Okay,
So
where's
you
Tara
actually
Reid?
think
Where's Tara Reid and Biden? Where's that at? It's done. She's not going to have her
I
day.
believe that was this. I believe
Okay,
Tara Reid was discredited. I believe Tara Reid
right,
has been
absolutely.
discredited.
So move on
All right,
on
but
that answer.
Trump's accuser has not been discredited.
Right, right,
Okay,
right.
and
But
you think it was a good idea to call her a whack job?
she is a whack job. Did you see her interviews? Some of her interviews, please.
I think you may.
She said grape was a fantasy. She said in one of the interviews with Anderson Cooper that it's a fantasy. Watch Anderson Cooper's interview. She's a whack job. She is, for sure. And you know what? That was a beautiful interview. Honestly, Trump did a great job. He stayed on point. We're going to be ruined if Trump doesn't come back as president of the United States. This whole country is going to be ruined.
What
$170
about him
billion
not?
dollars
He was
to Ukraine.
he was asked, does he want Ukraine to win the war? And he would not answer that. How you feel about that?
Absolutely. Why would you answer that and call Putin a war criminal? Why would you call him that? There's a strategy to this, okay? You don't go on live TV and call Putin war criminal when you have to negotiate to try to get the war to end. What are you going to do? Cause tension and say that on live TV in front of Putin? No. That's a
Well,
strategy.
I will say
Talk to
this.
him later.
I will say this. Up until that point, you and I
Right,
disagreed on everything you said. But when he refused to call him a war criminal, I do give
right,
Trump credit. He did give a really good
right,
answer, which is
right.
what you're saying now. I'm not going to
Absolutely.
call him a war criminal. Yeah,
Right,
that was
real
a good
quick,
answer.
Handsome, on that note, Handsome, Trump is always about that. He was always a person that said, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do when we're in war. I'm not going to tell you where we're at. I'm not going to tell the news people where we're at, because if you tell them where you're at, they're going to be where they're located at. He's not that kind of person. He's not going to tell you about his position and where he's at. He's always said that about war. He's never going to tell you what he's doing and where he's at. That's what because the media will just rise on that and tell everybody. Why tell everybody your position? That's
Well,
not a leader.
we won a lot of wars before Trump came along, so it's not like
Right,
the other presidents were messing up. I
right,
mean, I get your point, but it's not like Trump is some kind of war hero. I mean, he has
right.
his
Well,
strategy.
he's definitely not like John McCain, given positions of where his soldiers are at. That's why John McCain did what he did. Uh,
So you don't see John McCain as a war hero?
no, no, he was given locations of soldiers and locations of where he's at. That's why Trump made the comments he did make.
Okay, all right. I don't
Absolutely
know.
in that position.
When Trump decided to insult John McCain's status by saying my
Right, I
war
would
heroes
insult
don't
him
get
too. If you're
tested.
given locations of your soldiers in different locations, wouldn't you? That's a coward. That's somebody
Not
that's
like
given up.
that. Yeah, but I get your point about giving location, but you can insult John McCain or hold him accountable for his statement without saying my war heroes don't get captured. Now you're insulting the entire POW outfit. You're insulting more than just
I'm
John
not
McCain by
insulting
saying
that.
that.
When you give, when you become POWs when you're given locations of your soldiers. Of course, I would not give John McCain any respect because you're going to become because
What
if
is
you
the
give him
wait
a
a minute, wait a
location,
minute,
you're
wait a
going to
minute.
become a POW.
What does the phrase "my war heroes don't get captured" mean to you?
You get captured if someone's giving the locations of where
That
you're
is
at.
that
That's what
no.
John
You
McCain
can
did.
be a come on now, Snuggles. You're playing games.
Right.
You know you can get captured without somebody giving your location away.
Right. Absolutely.
So what does that
Absolutely.
mean when I say my war heroes don't get captured? What does that mean?
Well, they do get captured, right?
No, when you say my war heroes don't get captured, what does that phrase mean?
Uh, I don't know on that aspect. My war heroes don't get captured. Well, who said that? Trump? Well, Trump
Trump.
said that, right?
Trump
Right.
stated that.
Right.
Yeah, Trump said that.
Right. Yeah. So why do we hold on to certain words like that? Why do we hold on to that? We don't hold on
I'm
to
just
other
trying to
certain words.
find out from you what does that
John
mean when you
McCain.
hear that.
John McCain was a dog. He's not a war hero. If he was a
You're not
POW, he
answering the
deserved.
question though.
No, no,
You're
no.
still not
John
answering the
McCain.
question.
No. Actually, John McCain became. I don't know why he became a war hero because he's no hero.
That still doesn't
John
answer the
McCain.
question I
You,
just asked
but
you. If
what's your
I'm a
thing?
PO,
No, he is not.
let me you're still not. You're giving me everything but the answer. If I'm sitting, let's say for instance, I
Right,
was a war hero. I'm not
right,
John McCain, but I got captured in Afghanistan, and now I'm sitting at
right,
home missing a leg
right,
or something. And I'm watching
right,
TV, and I hear this guy say, "My war heroes
right.
don't get captured." After
No,
I don't came
He
home,
was talking
how's
about
supposed
John
to take
McCain.
that?
He
He
was
didn't
talking
say
about
that.
John McCain.
He
Yeah,
didn't
no.
say
He was talking about John McCain. So really look
that.
back at that. What he was saying. He was talking about John McCain.
Then why didn't he just say
He's
John
no
McCain is
war
not a
hero.
war hero? Why didn't he?
He
When you
said
say
John McCain, and then he said he's not a war hero. Listen to what he says.
No. The phrase, his actual phrase is,
No,
"My heroes don't get
right,
captured." John
right.
McCain is only one.
That
John McCain is only one guy. Why would you say
okay.
heroes in the
So
plural sense?
okay, so you're gonna go by plurals and everything like that. It's just like he said, all Mexicans are rapists, right? He didn't mean it like that. So let's reanalyze what he says because these narratives, these CNN narratives and MSNBC narratives are fitting for leftists. He didn't say that. He said John McCain is not a war hero. Period.
So he didn't. So you're telling me he did not say the phrase "My heroes don't get captured"?
Absolutely. Nope. Absolutely
Okay,
not.
all right. All right, I do believe I heard him say it, but if you're saying he
No,
didn't
no, no.
say it,
Relook at that and relook at the whole sentence. Relook at all that. He was talking strictly about John McCain. He didn't say all war heroes. No.
okay,
Because
all right.
he was at every funeral. Did you know that he would do a rally and then he would go back to an airplane with his wife of dead soldiers that are coming off that plane. But they don't show that on MSNBC. They don't show that on CNN. Look it up.
Okay,
They don't show
fair
him
enough.
visiting veterans hospitals with his wife. They didn't show him that. They don't show that on the news. He
All right.
loves it. He was great.
I
But
we
at the end of
we
the day, I
we
mean, you're
clearly
spending
heard
one
something different. You and I
right,
clearly heard something different.
right, absolutely. But $170 billion we're spending in Ukraine, and Europe is only spending $20 billion.
I
Why
don't
is
think most
that?
of I mean, I don't think most Americans are that concerned with that. And now, let me tell
Oh,
you
really?
why. Yeah, really. Let me tell you why.
Oh,
I don't
Jesus.
think if we decided to not give Ukraine a penny, I don't think it would affect your life or my life at all. It's not like we were giving
Okay.
money to homeless people or we were giving
Right.
college tuitions or health care to everybody. And then all of a sudden we
Right.
had to stop because we sent money to Ukraine. We weren't helping people out anyway. I don't if they stop giving Ukraine all the money that they're giving them, just decided from now we're not going to give them a penny. It wouldn't change our lives at all. I don't think most Americans are concerned with it.
Mm, I disagree with you. I think he did a lot more for the Americans when he was in office. the American people.
Okay. All right, fair
We
enough.
had the
I
lowest
didn't cheat.
unemployment. We had the lowest unemployment for blacks and Hispanics. We had a good economy. We had energy independence. We had an excellent economy. And right now, we don't have shit. We don't have nothing right now.
You don't have anything, or you sitting on a, what are you doing? You
We
sitting on a
don't.
sidewalk
There
under
are
a tent?
many
You don't have,
Americans that are paycheck. There are many parents, many people going paycheck to paycheck. I'm telling you.
and you think under President Trump there was not many people living paycheck to paycheck.
No, absolutely not. I
That's
think the
not
economy
true.
is running good. I think the economy was running a lot better. I think people were able to spend money a little bit better. Think a lot of people were happy. Not now, not today.
Remember when Trump talked about Chaz in Portland, there were homeless people all over the place under Trump. LA still had plenty of tent camps when Trump was in office. There was a lot of poverty in this country under
Hmm?
President Trump.
Uh-huh.
And I
No,
didn't.
not that much.
Yeah, I
Not as
think that
much as there is now.
okay, but there was plenty of it.
Not as much as there is today.
All right, fair enough. I gotta move it
Did
on,
you see
Snuggles.
those cities? Seriously, look at those
Yeah,
cities today.
I don't. When Trump was in office, he was constantly talking about Baltimore's a shithole, Chicago sucked. Those cities sucked
Right.
under Trump too.
Mm, not as much. Not the city of Chicago.
I don't know what the
Violence was
phrase.
down.
I
We
can't.
did.
I can't speak on what the phrase "not as much" means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, but we will have a talk on that. I know that you got other people coming in, but Handsome, I love you, man. It's always great talking to you, and thanks for giving me the extra
Absolutely,
time
Brad.
today. Honestly,
You know, you
we'll
know,
talk again.
you know how we do it. You know how we do it. We don't have
You
to
got it.
agree. Come on back
I
anytime.
wish we could
All
have
right,
a beer.
I don't drink, but if it's a Pepsi, we can make it happen. Snuggles, what did that say? Snuggles, would you get? Appreciate the hat and mustache, Rich. Thank you for that. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 80,000 likes. That might be a bit much to ask this late in the evening, but I do appreciate you folks being here with me. This was an interesting town hall. Snuggles had a totally different set of opinions from me. Now, I disagree with a lot of guests. Sometimes Snuggles does troll, but it's always a pleasure to talk to him. But listen, we have a difference of opinion, particularly on some of the things Trump says, such as my war heroes don't get captured or something like that. I take that as an insult to POWs. He doesn't, So some of the things that Trump say, there are ways to spin it so it doesn't mean what some people determine or believe it does say. I hear that all the time. Like I stated, when Trump tweeted out a white power video, guy yelling white power, well, he didn't hear that. So I get some of those, some of the pushback I get. It is baffling. Going back to the box, nevertheless, though, can you invite me? I love to discuss Trump's interview on CNN. I don't really. Oh man, let me see what happened here. My screen just froze up for a second there. I appreciate you folks that are holding on. Let's make it happen. Michael Clark, or that says Michelle Clark. If it lets me, the box is freezing up.
Okay, Trump bamboozled Snuggles for years.
You're too kind. You're too kind because that guy had so many facts that were wrong. I'm looking it up on my computer as he was on here.
Give me
All these
some
different
examples.
facts.
Give me some examples of what he got wrong.
Well, he was saying that McCain was a traitor. He was captured and tortured. Now, I
Yeah,
don't. No one can.
and he had not only was he captured and tortured, he was given the option because of his parent being an admiral to leave, and he stayed behind with his comrades. So McCain
Exactly.
could have left.
Right.
Yeah.
And unless you're being tortured, which I've never been tortured, but I don't know, I don't like pain too much. I would probably give up some stuff that I know too. And he says right here that he eventually gave up some information on his ship and his Navy squadron. And he comes back and says, I regret very much having done so. That was his comment about that years later. He regrets it, but they were torturing him. And like I said, unless
Not
you've
only
been
were they
tortured.
torturing him, but wasn't he held for like 5 years?
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me, but yeah, to me, and he's a Republican. I'm definitely left leaning, and I always liked him. I always thought he was a good politician, and I'd rather have him running than Trump any day.
Yeah,
But
the that someone could be could be captured in battle and held for a lengthy period of time, and you expect
Yeah.
that they may not tell anything when somebody can put them in solitary confinement, play all kinds of mind games. I mean, at some point, any human can be broken down. I
Right, and
mean, so
he
yeah,
was pretty broken too. I mean, he still couldn't move his arms properly to the day he died.
yep, yep,
Okay, so
yep.
I want to make a point, and I got to say, I stumbled across your live feed, and I'm very impressed with your intellect and your
Thank you.
willingness to let people voice their opinion. Which I guess that's the way we should do it, because otherwise it's just going to be a stalemate. So I appreciate your approach to these topics. But
Yep.
my comment is
Bro,
that
I'll let you continue, but I just wanted to say while we were talking, I looked it up. He was prisoner of war in North Vietnam for 5.5 years. So the
holy
fact that he slipped and told some shit is
yeah.
very believable. Go ahead.
And on his ship is pretty mobile, and he doesn't know 5 years later where that ship's going to be. I mean, I don't
Right.
know what kind of information he really gave up that changed the path of the war. But my point that I wanted to make was how many people were saying how this election was stolen, and how they cannot believe that Biden got more votes. We had to have cheated. But let's just look at the record. Since Clinton, okay, so I don't have all the dates, okay, but Clinton was elected, right? Popular vote.
Okay.
Let's just go by popular vote. Second term, Clinton, popular vote, okay, so there's two. Third, Gore got the popular vote, right? Bush didn't, but he still was president. Second term, Bush. Okay, so Bush won his second term fair and square. He got electoral and the popular vote. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, that's not how it works. But I'm just saying how Biden can get more votes. This is how. All right, so then we go to Obama. That's what, 4 for us, 1 for them. Obama's second, 5 for us, 1 for them. Trump lost the popular vote, 6 for us, 1 from them. Biden, popular vote, 7 for us, 1 from them. So 7 out of the 8 last elections, the last 32 years, right,
Yeah.
of our history, Democrats got the popular vote, because statistically there are more Democrats than there are Republicans. It's very close, and that's where the independents come in. So, and after
I don't
Trump's 4 years,
I
how is it
don't
so crazy that independents would lean to the left after 4 years of Trump?
Yeah, I don't personally see now without the electoral college, and I don't have a problem with the electoral college. I believe it has its purpose, but without the electoral college, yeah, I don't see the Republicans getting the popular vote anytime soon. And for the simple reason is that in our country, the white majority has slimmed somewhat, which is why you got folks talking about replacement theory. But the white majority has slimmed down. And if it's one thing the Republican Party lacks, it is diversity. Any area, any city that has a hell of a lot of diversity, chances are the mayor of that city is Democrat. That's why you always hear, well, what about these Democratic cities and things like that? Well, it's
Right.
because when it comes to diversity just does not like the Republican Party. I mean, so I would have a hard time seeing them winning the popular vote anytime soon.
Yeah, well, that was just my point, that it's not that amazing that Biden got 87 million votes when like I said, out of the last 7 out of the last 8
Yeah.
elections, Democrats have got the popular vote. Electoral college, that's a whole other issue. Land doesn't vote. I think people vote, and I hate to be penalized because you happen to live in a city that your vote's not going
Well,
to count as much.
here's why I disagree. Here's why I disagree. If you only went by the popular vote, rural areas would have no say. So, like the state of Montana, the state of Wyoming, that has very little population, they would be dominated by places like New York and things like that, where they would have no say. So I do believe those
Yeah,
states that
they
want to
still get
run
2
this,
senators. They still get two
yeah,
senators.
yeah,
You
but they
know,
would have no say in the presidential election.
Yeah, well, as we know, that it all boils down to the president only has a little edge over the legislative branch. That's where everything is actually done, is in the House and the Senate. And the
Yeah.
president can push and be a spokesperson for certain laws, and he can veto certain laws if he doesn't like it, but he can get overridden. So it's not like he is the most absolutely the most powerful man there is. But I
So
agree that people
did
need,
you go ahead?
they need representation, and I believe that.
Yeah.
But it just seems unfair to be penalized just because you live in a different city or state, a populated city and state, that your vote does not count as much as a vote in some place where nobody
Yeah,
lives.
but it would also lead the folks in rural areas to say the same thing. It's not fair that we don't get a say so because it's a few less of us out here. I mean, like I
I
said,
understand that, but so their vote counts more because they live in a rural area than
no,
my
when it
vote does that I live in a populated area. So
no, actually, no, their votes do not count more because the larger, more populated states are worth more electoral college votes than the rural states. So you do get more power if you got more people in your state. But if you got a state like California where it has a huge chunk of the population, you can't just let them go one for one with a state like Wyoming. Wyoming would literally never have a say so in anything because all of the people are in California. But California is worth a hell of a lot more electoral
no, that's
college
true.
votes
Yeah,
than Wyoming.
I think it's a little bit of an outdated system. It's the swing states that only really get the attention anyway. When it comes down to the elections,
True,
that's
true.
where the
That is true.
politicians go, is to the swing states. They don't go to Wyoming because they know they're going to get Wyoming. So they're going to concentrate on the swing states, and that's when the
Well,
independents,
and that's why I always, when I'm talking to my MAGA side of the aisle, I always talk about the value and the importance of speaking to the people because you have now states that did not used to be considered as swing states becoming that, like Georgia, for
like
instance.
Georgia
Who would
and
have seen?
Arizona. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So even Wyoming, if you talk to the people and you make your case good enough, you never know.
Right. Well, but is it worth it for the 4 or 5 electoral votes when you can concentrate on cities with bigger ones? So that's, I think, where the swing states get most of the attention, and most of the politicians yabber and in visits is because they need those swing states. I mean, it's a game of numbers is what it is. So
Yeah. Well,
so
but if I just simply say, if you're for the people, you should talk to everybody, though. Just because there's
oh,
not
I
a lot of
agree.
people in your
I agree.
area,
I'm
don't
not saying
avoid
get
it.
rid of it.
Yeah.
There's always just a little thing in the back of my mind that feels a little slighted uh, uh, about that. But yeah, I shouldn't even have brought it up. I have no real opinion about it. I
No,
just wanted to get,
no, no, no. There are a lot of folks that may have not even knew everything we were talking about. Listen, it ain't always about being a know-it-all. Like I said, the conversation, this is how conversation should go, regardless of the fact if you thought it, some folks say, there's no such thing as a stupid question or whatever. I appreciate you bringing it up, man.
yeah. And like I said, I'll be the first to admit that I haven't put a lot of thought, and I'm not going to stand my ground on something that I'm not completely educated about. But anyway, I just wanted to get the point across by the history of Democratic popular votes. So it's not so far fetched that Biden won the election by so much, especially after the disastrous 4 years under Trump. It's easy to see those independents going left at that point, and this
Yeah.
hopefully that'll happen again. We'll see.
Well, he will get the Republican nomination most likely, but at the end of the day, you don't think he could win in the general election?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Oh,
Well,
oh.
and people seem to really hate Biden, which I don't understand. I think he's been, I don't think he's been a great president, but I don't think he's been a bad president. I think we're just kind of
It's ageism.
on cruise
I think
control.
the I think the primary gripe with Biden is his age.
Yeah, and he's always had a speech impediment. He's always had trouble um, speaking publicly. He's overcome his stutter. So I think a lot of people take that as dementia or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But even if he's got dementia, I still think he would be a better president than Trump, because Trump, he's just got a mean streak in him, and I think he's bad for a country. You hear what Bill Barr said: if you like his policies and you believe in Trump, Trump is the worst person to see those policies through. This is coming from his lapdog, Bill Barr.
Yeah, I did see that. He was telling that to Geraldo, and I was like, wow, you're right, because he did. Trump actually put him on as attorney general. So, yeah, that was crazy. But
Right.
it wouldn't be the first person from the Trump administration to leave that administration and speak ill of Trump. In fact, how many folks, Scaramucci, Omarosa, Ambassador Bode, how many people did he appoint that left his administration and is speaking negatively of him? They're all over the place.
Yeah,
Chris
yeah.
Christie is one of them. I mean, they're literally all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. And Bill Barr was, but he was his lapdog there for a while. I mean, he
Yeah.
fought for him tooth and nail, and then to come out at the end of all this and say, yeah, this, he
Bill
was,
Bill Barr stopped an impeachment, I believe. Started kind of acting as his personal attorney.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
when the Mueller report came out, he didn't say he didn't tell the whole truth when he said, yeah,
Yeah.
there was no evidence. They didn't say that there was no evidence. They were just
Yeah.
saying that they recommended indictment, but they didn't have enough at this time. But they recommended further investigation, and he comes out and says, nope, he's all good. He's clear to go.
I would be curious in hindsight if some of those guys could go back in time, would they still be there for Trump? Like Mitch McConnell also stopped his impeachment from being, taken up in the Senate. I would be curious if he could go back in time. Would Mitch McConnell ride for Trump the way he did?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you with this question. You can keep on talking
Sure.
about it. What happened to the Republicans? I mean, what happened to real Republicans? How come they hate like Romney, who seems to be pretty level-headed? And who was the guy who ran for president from Ohio? Um,
Kasich?
Kasich. Now, there's a
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
I would not be embarrassed to have as a president, even though he's a Republican, and I definitely lean left. What happened to the Republican Party?
All right. I'll drop you and I'll answer that question. Appreciate you coming in here.
Thank you, sir.
Absolute. Now,
regards to his question, what happened to traditional Republicans? Well, obviously, it became more or less the MAGA party as opposed to the traditional Republican Party. Now, I'm not going to bash Trump on this because I will quickly say that if Bernie Sanders had have been elected in 2016, he would have did the exact same thing to the Democratic Party. I've said this on numerous broadcasts that neither Bernie Sanders nor Trump are actually members of the parties they claim. Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat. Trump is not a Republican, but they need access to the funding from the DNC and the RNC to make the campaign possible. So they both ran as Democrats and Republicans, respectively. And if you notice, both Bernie Sanders and President Trump often get a lot of flack and pushback from those traditional party members of their parties. A lot of traditional Democrats fight and push back with Bernie Sanders, and a hell of a lot of traditional Republicans do not like Trump. So that's one of the partial answer to your question. What happened to the traditional party, traditional Republicans, is that Trump has literally transformed that party. Now, Trump has given the Republicans, the traditional Republicans, a hell of a lot of things that they actually wanted. Make no mistake about it, us liberals, as much as we complain about rolling back Roe versus Wade, that is something that traditional Republicans, particularly the evangelicals, have been fighting for almost a half a century. So you have to take in consideration Nixon, Reagan, and both Bushes did not give them that. Trump came along and only in one term gave them something they had been fighting for almost a half a century. In addition to that, when was the last time you seen a 6-3 Republican majority in the Supreme Court? Now, we could bring up Mitch McConnell preventing Obama from appointing a Supreme Court judge, but at the end of the day, it is President Trump's fault that they have a 6-3 majority. That, once again, is something that Trump gave them that nobody else has been able to give on the Republican side of the aisle. So even though us liberals complain about President Trump, he did accomplish some things that Republicans have not seen in a very long time. Now, also, many would point to the fact that Trump speaks his mind from a standpoint of finally a guy who hates the same people we hate, and he's not afraid to say it. So when you look at other Republicans, traditional Republicans, just like any traditional politician, most folks mince their words. They don't come out and hit hard and slam hard. They may be thinking some really draconian shit about you in their mind, but they don't come out and say it. A lot of folks like Trump because he will come out and speak exactly about you how he feels. So I believe a lot of that has to do with why the traditional Republican Party has faded away, because Bernie Sanders was the same thing. Bernie Sanders did not mince words about corporations and how he felt about people ripping them off. He said names and called things out. There's a lot of parallels to Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. They just happen to be on opposite ends of the scale. But a lot of things people like about Trump, they actually apply to Bernie Sanders because he didn't hold back punches either. So at the end of the day, that is what happened to the traditional Republicans, is that they have been warped to the Trump party. And when I say warped, I mean really warped, to the point where Trump could identify as any type of party, and they're going to go there. I've had shows before where I've asked folks, if Trump got primaried by DeSantis or someone, or just got fed up with the rhinos of the Republican Party and ran under his own party, would you be willing to vote for him? And just about everybody I had that identifies as MAGA and most Republicans said, yeah, I would follow him even if he went under a different type of party. So it is more of a adoration of the man as opposed to the party. And as you've been able to see, Trump has the ability, he has the power to destroy any Republican in existence, up to and including all of the former Republican presidents and presidential nominees. And when I say presidents and presidential nominees, we're talking about the Bushes, president. Nominees would be Romney, McCain. Those are presidential nominees. He's destroyed all of that. All of those folks did not hold a candle to President Trump. When he decided to start attacking them, they all went down like dominoes. Look at Ron DeSantis right after the midterms, soaring to new highs, popularity on top of the mountain. I mean, he was literally soaring to new highs. The moment he started indicating like he might challenge Trump for the presidency and Trump started speaking negatively of him, look at his polls now. He hasn't done anything for his poll numbers to fall the way they have. Ron DeSantis hasn't done anything against the Republican Party to dictate why his poll numbers have taken such a drastic drop. The only thing happened to him is Trump decided to start attacking him. And it's already eating away at his popularity. I get MAGA all the time now. They used to say, Trump and Ron DeSantis on the ticket would be a dream ticket. Now most of them are saying, I don't think DeSantis is I don't think DeSantis is a good guy to lead the country. And pointing out his flaws. They're now pointing out flaws of Ron DeSantis. The only purpose it came across is because Trump decided to start attacking him. I've said this as a liberal plenty of times before. I don't think there's any liberal out there that has the power of President Trump. I don't think there's any liberal, even Barack Obama, that can step up, criticize another liberal, and destroy him on the spot. We don't have anybody like that on our side. They have Trump. That's what happened to the Republican Party. Appreciate you folks rolling with your boy as always. 75,000 likes. It is a work night for your boy. You know how we do this. 75,000. I can't hate on that. As always, it's your boy Tim, the Handsome Liberal. 11:30 to noon Central. We do this Monday through Friday. If you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, without being banned, blocked, or censored for your damn opinion, or because the host don't like you, we don't do any of that here. We allow everybody to state their point without fear of being censored or banned. Follow the program. If that's what you like, follow the program. Helps out the algorithms. And until then, I'll see you folks tomorrow. Have a good night.